From Simon & Schuster Audio. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Ship of the Line. By Diane Carey. Read by Kevin Conway. The year 2278. Bridge of the Klingon ship Susoi Tuj.
Space boiled out before the supercharged Klingon warship, flickering on the giant forward viewscreen. The stars in the distance were the yellow and pink stars of civilization, orbited by planets bubbling with progress. From this point on, all the space before them would be Federation territory. Kozara, the Klingon commander, turned his craggy face to his bridge crew. "Today, my excellent warriors, our success will be etched on the gravestones of 50,000 Federation dead. Today, my excellent warriors, we will fall upon nothing less than a fully populated and operational starbase." Kozara gestured at the stars streaming past and spoke to his first mate. "Galen, look and appreciate what should have been ours. 1,000 luminaries displayed for the naked eye. Tails and sweeps and trunks, nebulae and storms, sparkling anomalies and ore-rich planetary clusters. They have everything. And look where we must live." Galen peered at the distant suns and tried to see what Kozara saw. But in truth, the space before them looked like any other space he had ever seen in his career. "Sir, we live where we have always lived. The Federation took nothing from the Klingons. We live where we evolved, sir, I thought." "Yes, Galen, but the Federation plots to keep us there. Never forget. Now, order the crew to begin scans. See if our plan is working, if we can move forward." Galen signaled the sensor officer and the two crewmen at the warship's complex helm. Kozara gazed at the open slate of Federation space. Apparently upon it, he saw etched his future. He smiled. "My new son will have a famous father. He will be Zaidan, son of Kozara, destroyer of an entire starbase, and all will bow before him." Starbase 12 is one of the Federation's longest established starbases. For months, we have introduced operatives into the workings of the starbase. These spies have now fulfilled their purpose and have evacuated the station. Because of that work, Starbase 12 is experiencing a power shutdown. They have no weapons. We have allowed it to leak out that there will be a border dispute in the Federation's Benicia sector. Presently, all Federation Starfleet vessels in the sector are on their way to the Benicia border of the neutral zone. Our fleet is there, yes, but with no plans to cross the neutral zone. Their purpose only is to make sure the Starfleet commanders think there will be trouble and stay there long enough for us to cut across the Typhon expanse and decimate a great structure. Even the Enterprise will be drawn away, and the night sky over Starbase 12 will be ours to light. Kozara was not old, yet he was deeply experienced. And still, over his years of service, glory had escaped him. He greatly needed a victory, and a victory such as this, monumental. An entire starbase. The names of Kozara, Galen, and every member of his crew would be elevated in the Imperial hierarchy. Kozara suddenly came to his feet. "We have 50,000 to kill, a starbase to shatter, and my son's legacy to ignite. Helm, plot a course across the Federation neutral zone. Enter the Typhon expanse."
The year 2278. Freeze-Poznikov sector. Klingon neutral zone border. Bridge of the USS Bozeman.
Captain Morgan Bateson raised his shot glass to First Officer Gabriel Bush. "Gabe, an old-fashioned rum toddy change of watch can't be beat. Adding cinnamon and what's that other thing?
Vanilla. Got it from my grandmother, sir. She liked her rum after a voyage.
My respects to your grandmother for her recipe. Best thing since synthesized mamba venom.
Morgan Bateson's musketeer's beard and high forehead framed a pair of airbrushed gray eyes that were always working. Now those eyes glinted with good humor. Gabriel Bush was less dashing, less flamboyant, but no less capable. The descendant of a long line of seafarers and space voyagers. He grinned at his captain, who grinned in return.
Gabe, you keep some of this stuff aside for Captain Spock and the two new men. Better initiate our new lieutenant's right with a slug of rum.
I have theirs here on the upper deck, sir.
Bush shuddered down a lingering dread with a tot of rum. That dread was left over from the recent collision and fight with smugglers. The conflict had left him with a broken ankle and the ship with several crewmen dead, including the science officer and a second lieutenant. The Enterprise would soon be transferring 2 new bridge specialists to replace the lost officers. The Bozeman's bridge still smelled of burned circuits and raw insulation. 2 weeks of round-the-clock work had cobbled the cap bulkhead back together. Most conveniences had gone wanting for repair as the more critical systems were pasted back to some echo of working order. The interior of the border cruiser looked like a junk sail. Her outer hull was scorched and even missing plates. She was operational, but only generally. The communications technician's voice interrupted Gabe's thoughts.
Captain, the Enterprise is coming up on our port side.
The ship's half-patched bridge systems found their way to the forward screen and flickered up a port-side visual of a stunning silvery starship. Captain Bateson grinned.
What a sight. Look at her. Everybody, turn and have a look at the Enterprise. Stand up and take a look at a ship of the line.
Yes, there she was. Refitted and strong as an ox, the USS Enterprise hovered off their port quarter. The original of her kind, this massive starship had recently returned from her second 5-year mission under the command of James T. Kirk, the shipmaster who had piloted her to fame. Bateson gave a quick nod to Wiz Dayton at communications.
Hail them, will you?
Aye, sir.
The image of the starship shifted to a view of Admiral Kirk on the handsome bridge of the Enterprise. Bateson leaned forward.
Morgan Bateson here. Welcome to the Typhon Expanse, Captain Kirk. Aren't we privileged today?
Good afternoon, Captain Bateson. I feel a little privileged myself. I haven't seen a genuine border cutter in a good 6 or 7 years. That's a classic rig you've got there, Captain. James Kirk stood up and strode toward the viewer. We've taken the Enterprise out of the Academy training program temporarily. Headquarters got word of a Klingon fleet mustering a few light years from here, and we don't know why they're doing it.
Yes, I know. I wanted to head over there, of course, but we're still under repairs. I'm glad you'll be there, Admiral, given your experience with Klingons.
Doesn't match yours, Captain. Records show you've had more hand-to-hand experience with Klingons in the last 6 years than any other single commander in Starfleet. They should be leaving me here as a sector guard and sending you to the disputed area. The whole crew beamed with pride.
You'd have to lend me that starship, too, Captain Kirk. The Klingon fleet wouldn't be intimidated by a border cutter.
So you say, but I know the Bozeman's record. That's a tough ship. Don't give her up.
No, to be sure. Say, would you like to come on board for a visit, Captain Kirk?
Can't afford the time. We're already late. Spock should be beaming over with your new officers right now. I'll take you up on the visit when we're done dealing with the Klingons. Kirk out. As the screen flicked back to an outside view of the starship, Bush turned to Bateson.
Do you think Captain Kirk expects trouble?
Wouldn't bet either way. He's been on the Starfleet Academy faculty for several months. Could just be itchy for open space. We'll probably never know.
Out from the lift strode Captain Spock, supremely Vulcan and elegant, followed by 2 spiffy young lieutenants. Spock strode immediately to the center of the bridge and extended a hand to Bateson.
Captain, good morning. Welcome aboard, Captain Spock. We're especially honored to have you here, gentlemen. My first mate, Gabriel Bush.
The famous Vulcan nodded to Bush. The honor is mine. The Bozeman has earned a strong reputation keeping the integrity of the Fries-Postnikov sector. My condolences, gentlemen, on the loss of your science officer and your tactical lieutenant. I'm privileged to introduce your new second officer, Lieutenant Michael Dennis, and science specialist John Worf. Bateson stuck out a hand.
Hello, boys.
Gabriel Bush turned away and gathered brass shot glasses from the upper deck where he tucked them behind a strut of the bridge rail. He began pouring and handing out rum tots. Spock turned to Bateson. Captain, I don't mean to be impolite, but the Enterprise is overdue in Benicia sector.
Of course. What's the latest word on that?
Several Klingon heavy cruisers have been seen massing just beyond the neutral zone, along with at least 24 birds of prey. They have yet to make their intentions known or to communicate in any way. Bateson took a sip of rum so the others would feel free to do the same, then shook his head.
If they'd concentrate as much on improving their own territory as they do on taking ours, we'd have two strong neighboring civilizations. They can't seem to get that through their knobby skulls.
Spock lifted a brow. Not lately. Farewell, gentlemen. Spock slugged his rum tot like a proper tar, nodded approval, and handed the empty glass back to Bush. Then he offered the new officers an encouraging nod and left the bridge without fanfare. The taller of the two lieutenants, Mike Dennis, turned to Bateson.
Don't like Klingons, sir? Don't know. Never met one in person. Only in battle.
Lieutenant John Worf licked flecks of rum from his narrow mustache.
How are they in battle, sir? Predictable. And when they try to be unpredictable, they're even more predictable. Now, boys, before you square away your gear, let me give you a short course in border patrolling. Have you heard anything about this service?
Mike Dennis glanced at John Worf. Neither wanted to speak, but as senior of the two, Dennis was pressed into service.
I've heard they call you Bulldog Bateson, sir.
Bateson suppressed a grin. At least Dennis had the nerve to admit what he'd heard.
You two know each other?
Worf shook his head.
No, sir. Just met.
Both Worf and Dennis were taking in their surroundings, glancing around the tight bridge and its two cramped decks. Now Bateson did smile.
Not exactly a starship, is it? Tell him, Gabe.
This is a Soyuz-class border cutter authorized by the Starfleet Border Service. We are direct descendants of the United States Coast Guard, tied to a long tradition of coastal security, and we're proud of it. The duties of a border cutter are smuggling patrol, towing, traffic control, buoy and lightship maintenance, import-export regulation, tariff and trade law enforcement, and aid and rescue. We're not a power pack, we're not a showboat, and we're never going to be in a history book. But we've got one thing that makes us equal to the Enterprise herself. You're wearing it.
Both Worf and Dennis looked down at their uniforms as if seeing them for the first time. Captain Bateson spoke up.
Ships are like people, boys. They have jobs, specific jobs. This is a border cutter. That's all it's meant to be. We're a working ship, not a glory factory. If you wanted something else, get over it.
All right, you men. Retire to Deck 4, cabins 4C and F, and square away your gear. Report back to the bridge in 15 minutes. We'll give you a crash course in border ship bridge design.
The two lieutenants headed for the lift, just as Wiz Dayton spoke from the communications board.
Excuse me, Morgan. I was monitoring the Enterprise's subspace emissions, but just now, all my comm systems went silent. No malfunction, sir.
Captain Bateson stepped to the rail.
What could blank out your systems? Did the Starship backfire?
At the mention of the Enterprise, Mike Dennis and John Worf paused inside the just-arrived lift. Wiz Dayton shook his head.
Starship's long gone already. Warped out 3 minutes ago. I'm almost completely shut down here. I don't like the feel of it.
The captain turned to the forward screen.
Let's have a wide scan. You, Mr. Worf, you come over here and be a science officer.
John Worf hurried back onto the bridge. Mike Dennis also stepped out of the turbolift. Gabe Bush wondered what was happening. What could do this to the communications but not disturb any other system on board? Comet, maybe. He went comet hunting for 6 or 8 seconds, but found none. Then Wiz leaped back in his chair, pointing at one of his subscanners.
Holy Jerusalem! We got a mission signature. 64.9 enrichment.
Bateson faced the main screen as it plumed bright with a new picture. The sensors had focused. They'd found it. Five times the size of the Bozeman, the Klingon warship pulled out from behind a drifting cloud of space dust. The bulbous forward hull was linked to a pair of back-swept wings by a long, thin, funnel-like neck. The bridge bulb stuck out in front as if to threaten whatever it pointed toward. Mission accomplished. Like most Klingon ships, its hull plates would drizzle green, like icebergs reflecting the cold ocean. Gabe had seen it himself, off Newfoundland. He murmured to himself.
The color of envy.
Bateson's voice startled Bush out of his thoughts.
Confirm shields up. Hailing frequency.
Sir, it's not working.
Do it anyway. We might be able to break through on short range. Send every signal you know how to send. Mr. Dennis, hoist the yellow jack.
Klingons or not, they'd understand the universal sign of flashing yellow and red hull strobes. Since the first flashing lights on police cruisers, keepers of the law had carried submission lights. Gabe Bush turned to the science station.
Mr. Wolf, give us a profile of that big hammerhead, will you?
Klingon ship is standard full-bore design, except I'm reading 32% more raw tonnage and roughly 50% fewer crew on board than usual. She's fully armed, and I'm reading some strange configurations in the cargo bay. I'd say they were jettison salvos.
Bush got a shiver as his internal barometer dropped. Jettison incendiaries. So brutal were those weapons, so entirely savage, that they tended to spark revenge and rage even brighter than the thing they were set upon to burn. The captain tilted his head.
Helm! Block their flight path.
Before them, the thick-hulled Klingon ship seemed to drift downward toward the middle of the screen, but in fact, the Bozeman was moving up.
Sir, I've got the ID code off their hull. Ship's name is Susoi Touge.
Mighty damn, that old blood blister. He's always dogging the neutral zone without really coming over the line. Get out the handcuffs, boys. It's the universal constant. Kozara.
Bush shook his head.
In that, Kozara flies a bird of prey. How can you be sure?
Because Susoi Touge is his mother's name. Interesting. She must have died. I get it now. The gathering of their fleet way over there is a red herring. Starfleet's been set up. The Klingons are creating a distraction, giving Kozara his chance to slip by. Don't you get it?
Bush tried to think. This sector had no particular prizes, just outposts and storage links. Bateson nodded at the Klingon ship filling their view screen.
They're here to obliterate Starbase 12.
The chilling words drove in a moment of silence. If true, this meant the Bozeman stood alone between jettison incendiaries and 50,000 innocent people on a starbase whose power was flickering. Starbase 12 couldn't defend itself against anything like that ship. Morgan Bateson kept his eyes on the Klingon ship, but moved slowly to Bush's side.
Gabe, I'm very sorry. I'm gonna miss your wedding.
What? Why would you?
The captain raised a hand and dropped it on Bush's shoulder.
You're gonna miss it too. This just became a suicide mission.
Aboard the Susoi Touge, Kozara slammed a fist against his comm chair.
Bulldog Bateson.
Kozara had expected a clear path. The Klingon main fleet had notified them that all known Starfleet ships were accounted for.
Mistakes. Always a mistake stands between me and glory.
Pacing like an animal, Kozara thrashed back and forth before his command center.
We blank his communications, but only if we stay here. If we go on, he sends a message, and we are compromised.
Galen glanced around at the bridge crew and saw roaring disappointment in their faces. The mission of the decade, and one border patroller had stumbled into their way. If Kozara never saw glory, they never would either. Kozara glared at the border patrol ship.
He must be damaged. Otherwise, why would he stay here when his fleet goes somewhere else?
Kozara stalked over to his communications officer.
Keep the communications blanket on, but give me short-range subspace. Frequency open, sir. Morgan Bateson, the dog. We stand again before each other.
Kozara the butterfly. Yes, we do. Sorry about your mother.
It was her time to die.
So, Kozara, what are you doing here, if you don't mind my asking?
We have catastrophic failure in our environmental control, and an explosion in our lower deck flushed much of our plasma. We need assistance from a full starbase facility and request your merciful cooperation.
What a bag of bilge. You don't really think I'm going to let you get anywhere near Starbase 12 with that bulldozer, do you?
We have no unconventional weapons on board, only the usual disruptors, and I shall shut those down.
Come on, Butterfly. Enough shilly-shallying. Unless you turn around right now and head back through the neutral zone, I'll have to hold you, your ship, and crew in preventive custody. If you turn around, I'll log the incident as a navigational error. That's the deal.
No deal.
The comm went silent, and John Wolfe came to life.
Sir, I'm reading a firing solution. Evasive maneuvers, right now.
The deck dropped out from under them. Engines surged. Bush slammed into the bridge rail, then caught himself and cranked around to see smoke boiling down from the port side upper monitor trunks. The ship's engineer reported.
Taking disruptor fire. Glancing hit shield 4. System stressed, but holding.
At Bush's left, Bateson was gripping the command chair with both hands as the ship tilted up on a nacelle to veer around a planet.
All right, boys. It's time to dodge, spin, parry, and thrust. Brace yourselves and make for the inside of the solar system. A good spanking pace.
The captain straightened as the ship's course rounded its curve, and the compensators worked better.
John, quick. Let's see a schematic of this solar system.
Wolfe complied without a word. Above his science station, 3 monitors flickered to life to show multi-dimensional representations of the lovely large solar system and its 20 planets. Bateson could see 7 planets were clustered on the same side of the sun, within a few degrees of each other on the orbital plane.
That can work for us. As long as we keep Kozara from leaving the pie wedge right down the middle of those bodies, he'll be planet-locked. He won't be able to maneuver. Lead him right down the middle there, then veer on the Z- under that blue planet on the left.
Bateson managed to hold position and keep his eyes on all the monitors.
Keep the pot boiling, boys. They're coming after us.
Environmental control was breaking down with the strain of trying to outpace such a powerful pursuer. The cutter dodged under an asteroid belt and angled around a small dust ball with a rocky core. The Klingon ship fell far behind. An instant's victory, but there was no getting away without warp speed. Bateson called to his crew.
We're getting gnawed. I'll take suggestions, boys.
Captain, the Enterprise...
Dennis called over the noise.
We could go around the largest planet, and then maybe change course to stay there long enough to use the planet as a block. We need 19 seconds to broadcast a subspace message. Too long. Keep the suggestions coming.
The planets raced past. At that speed, chances of being caught in the gravity of one of those bodies was very real. Disruptor fire streaked past them every few seconds, but the enemy couldn't get a straight shot. But even the glancing blows were rattling the Bozeman shields. The plunges, dashes, and climbs of this pointless course barely gave the gravitrons a chance to adjust, and Bush felt his stomach being pulled in 6 directions. He spoke up.
Captain, what if we send a hard shell?
John Wolfe shook his head.
It'll never get out far enough or fast enough. A calm hard shell's only sublight speed. It may not help us, but it might help Starbase 12.
Bush was cut off as the ship slammed downward a good 2 feet. Caustic smoke belched from several positions at several levels all around the bridge.
Dennis shook a burned hand and winced through the pain.
Is there some way we can launch a hard shell without having them see it?
The captain paused as the cutter staggered under another assault.
Gabe, can we rig a wide-range hard shell with 30-minute broadcast delay?
Can do, Captain.
Okay, Gabe. First, take precautions.
Bush clawed his way to a starboard side comm linked to the lower decks.
Attention all hands. Prepare for abandoned ship. Now, boys, that's not a command to abandon ship, just to prepare for it. Get the life pods warmed up and running. Bridge out.
Bateson slid out of his chair and prowled the helm.
I want to launch a hard-shell probe into a sensor blind of some kind. A recorder marker at its highest sublight, but with a delayed broadcast timer of, say, half an hour. Once it's a half hour away, it'll send a distress beacon. We'll have to send it without Kazara's knowing, or he'll chase it down and kill it. It has to be silent for 30 minutes. That means we have to stay alive that long, and distract him from scanning the area.
And once it's gone, even if we're destroyed, Starfleet will be warned and be able to protect Starbase 12.
I like the way you think, Gabe. Pack it with subspace broadcast on a delay. I want it to stay silent for half an hour, then scream its little ass off. 30 minutes, that's all I want, boys. If we live 30 minutes, I'll die happy.
And I'll die unmarried. Gabriel Bush crossed his fingers, toes, and most of his chest hair as he watched the tiny dot of the comm probe gloss off into space.
Hang on, Ruby. We'll have that wedding yet. Hard shell launched. God help us he doesn't see it go.
The sensor blind was small, simply a funnel-shaped piece of space starting small and widening into the far reaches. Into that little wedge, they'd launched their hard-shell comm probe. Now the navigator leaned into his controls, and the cutter veered off, hoping the feint in another direction would distract the Klingon. Dennis announced,
"He's gaining, sir."
Another spasm pierced the shields and came down through the innards of the ship. The crew was hit with waves of energy looking for a place to dissipate. Bateson shouted,
"Return fire, Gabe."
The phaser scored a hit on the Klingon. Not a destructive hit, but enough to gain a critical second or two. The cutter jolted suddenly, and the captain and Bush both stumbled.
"Guidance is slipping, sir."
Straightening against the protests of his aching back and legs, Bush looked at the captain.
"End of the chase. He'll chew us to scrap." "Helm, look for a hiding place. We can't keep this up. What's around?" "Sir, all these planets. 3 asteroid belts, all too thin. And over there is some kind of cloud." "Cloud? Let's see it."
On the screen, through waves of acrid smoke, they could see a hazy globular mass that didn't look like anything but heat distortion. Bateson frowned.
"Is it energy? Is that a nebula?" "No, sir, I don't think so. Some kind of energy. I'm getting some funny readings." "Let's go in. Time for some navigating. Alter course, 1140, full impulse."
John Wolfe tapped at his sparking console.
"Entering the cloud. It's some kind of localized distortion."
The cloud was hardly that at all. Only the enhancement on the helm screen showed that they were heading toward more than a mirage. But if only it held some kind of energy that might choke the Klingons' weapons for a few more minutes, long enough for the hard-shell comm to get far enough away. As for the Bozeman, suicide mission. Bateson had called it right. Bush thought of Ruby's funny face and chipmunk cheeks, how teasing she'd look in the bridal veil. The navigator gulped.
"Captain, I'm losing thrust. Speed's reducing. Main systems are losing power."
Bateson swung around to the port monitors to watch the approach of Kazara's warship. But the monitors were empty. Only stars. Mike Dennis bent forward over something on his panel.
"Captain? The Klingon's gone." "No, he's not. Find him."
All faces bent to their boards.
Worf looked up from the science monitors. "No readings at all, sir. No residue. He didn't explode. No warp trail either. He didn't leave." Dennis called out. "Captain, I've got some kind of malfunction here. The planets are reading slightly off position. This distortion we're in, I think it's temporal." "Time distortion?" "That's what I'm reading. Wait, I got him. Coming up on us fast from high forward. But the readings aren't the same. Collision course!" On the forward screen, the fractured sensor systems coughed up a view of the oncoming vessel. And it was no Klingon ship. It was a moving mountain, triple or more the size of Kozara's ship. Bush glanced at the captain. Then they both looked at the forward screen and watched the massive shape freight training down upon them.
"Brace for impact."
At the last moment, the big ship suddenly tipped upward on a wing and surged hard off, angling directly over the cutter's topknot and scratching by on the grace of what must have been raw inches. Mopping a cold sweat, Bateson wallowed back into his command chair.
"I can't believe they missed us."
Mike Dennis reported.
"They decompressed their loading bay. At the last second, they blew their whole bay."
Bush stared upward at the shadowy underside of the unknown giant.
"Look at the size of it. Gotta be 700 meters.
Mike, check out his emissions ratios. John, analyze the structural materials. Is that Starfleet design? At least in rudiments. Looks like it's been puffed up and stretched out."
"Sir, the emissions ratios check out as the Starfleet standard matter-antimatter enrichment, with some modifications I don't recognize."
Worf added.
"I'm detecting some new materials, reading some composites the computer doesn't recognize."
Wiz Dayton pivoted in his chair on the upper deck.
"Captain, they're hailing us."
Bateson settled into his command chair.
"Answer it."
Wiz worked his board, and through the clearing haze on the bridge, the main screen shifted from a view of that big ship to a view of a huge, wide, bright room of some kind, with lots of lounge chairs and people sitting in most of the chairs. In the middle of the room were 3 chairs and 3 people, one a woman. Humans, at least. Bateson drew a slow breath.
"This is Captain Morgan Bateson of the USS Bozeman. Can we render assistance?"
The screen now centered on a rather stately, bald gentleman.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. We were just going to ask you the same thing. Have you any idea what just happened?
"Our sensors detected a temporal distortion, then your ship appeared. We nearly hit you."
The Enterprise has been caught in a temporal causality loop, and I suspect something similar happened to you. Captain Bateson, perhaps you should beam aboard our ship. There's something we need to discuss.
The year 2368. Bridge of the USS Enterprise. NCC 1701D.
Commander William Riker motioned to the ready room door.
"This way, Captain Bateson. Right through here, sir."
Morgan Bateson hesitated, gazing at the huge vision of his own ship on the gigantic forward screen. Riker couldn't help a few seconds of awe as he gazed at the Bozeman, too. Something about old ships. There was visible damage on the cutter's hull, and that caught both men's eyes for a few lingering seconds. Then Bateson turned and came through the ready room door at Riker's side. Jean-Luc Picard was pacing in front of his desk. Picard wasn't a large man, but he commanded a certain attention. He was less swashbuckler than magistrate, an old-line sovereign of a synthetic kingdom. He approached the cutter captain.
"Welcome aboard, Captain Bateson."
Bateson shook Picard's hand.
"Captain Picard, this is a Starfleet ship, isn't it?"
Yes, it is, most certainly." Bateson took one more glance out the wide viewports that graced the ready room. Then he turned.
"Will you please identify yourselves and your vessel now?"
"I am, as I told you, Captain Jean-Luc Picard." This vessel is the United Federation of Planets flagship USS Enterprise. Bateson looked at Picard, then at Riker, then back to the captain. The Enterprise, Constitution Class NCC 1701, is under command of Captain Spock, currently flagged for Admiral James Kirk. We just rendezvoused with the Enterprise less than 1 hour ago, and this ship is not that ship. No, this isn't that ship. But this is, in fact, the Enterprise, Galaxy class. Our number is NCC 1701-D. Bateson looked at Picard with slightly narrowed gray eyes. Get to the bottom line, Captain. What do you think is going on? Our ships are roughly 90 years apart in development. The causality loop has put us together. We are from the year 2368. Bateson remained very still for a long moment, then fanned his hands casually. Well, Captain Picard, Mr. Riker, if all this checks out, I'll do everything possible, as I'm sure Starfleet will, to make you and your crew comfortable in our time. Perhaps there's some way to use this causality to return you to your own time. There isn't. We've been checking that more than anything else. The causality has a particular temporal flow that can't be reversed by artificial means. In fact, it's gone now. We think it's subject to its own forces, and it's gone to another era, possibly another epoch. We can't find it anymore. While Picard talked, he threw a desperate glance at Riker. Are we sure it's not us? A chill ran up Riker's arms. He fingered the controls of the computer access tie-in. Local celestial qualities, position, status. Home in on the beacon of the Linden Navigational Outpost, established only 14 years ago. Please be there. Yes, loud and clear. He tilted his head, caught Picard's eye beyond Bateson's shoulder, then pointed quickly at Bateson. It's him. Picard sighed. Captain Bateson, I'm deeply sorry, but we've confirmed this. The causality was apparently a forward time current. Bateson slowly drifted to the couch. He sat, and his head and shoulders slumped until he was staring at his own feet. His voice trailed out on the rag of a sigh. Oh, no. Riker knew that the tragedy for Bateson's crew, going forward in time, was far worse than to go backward. Anyone finding himself in the past could at least contrive to send a message forward, let relatives know what had happened. People who went backward in time had a chance to fit in. But to go forward in time was something else. No way to tell families what happened. Men from the past, in a ship that was already old 90 years ago, were instantly out of date, their hard-won skills obsolete. They were oddities. Riker watched sadly as all this ran through Morgan Bateson's mind. Bateson's face was like plaster, his eyes shallow and pained. Well, all right, tell me. Did we at least matter? Picard turned to his officer. Go ahead, number one. Tell him. On Rhodes Colony, where Starbase 12 is still intact and operating, the main spaceway is called Bateson Boulevard. By standing down Kazara, you saved over 50,000 people, a full-sized starbase, several colonies, and the security of 2 sectors. The incident was investigated for months. The search and rescue alone went on for weeks. They couldn't find a trace, of course. Kazara was chased out of Federation space by Admiral Kirk and Captain Spock on the Enterprise, who responded to your convoy. The Klingon plot was exposed and condemned as cowardly espionage rather than noble challenge, which embarrassed the entire Klingon Empire and shook the High Council to its bones. Kazara was saved from execution by his one nominal victory, destruction of the cutter Bozeman, and the best border captain the Federation ever had. Best border captain. Best enough to get good and lost. Aren't there any ways we can go back in time? There are ways, none very dependable or accurate. You may overshoot your own time by decades in the other direction. Captain Bateson, please be assured,
We'll do whatever we can to help you, and anyone in your crew. What would you like?
I'd like your first officer to brief my crew and show them the records. I'd also appreciate your help with any of my crew who want to contact their relations or find out what happened to their families. And I'd very much like my ship to remain commissioned as long as possible. She's our only anchor now.
I'll make that recommendation and throw my influence behind it. Also, I'll make the ship's counselor available to assist your crew through the emotional transitions.
I'm sorry, your ship's what?
Deanna Troi, ship's counselor.
My crew won't need any counselor, Captain. No offense, but we've got each other.
None taken. Smaller vessels run on a different dynamic than a full-sized cruiser.
Perhaps in this century they do.
Riker bristled at the tone, then clamped his lips shut. He realized that Bateson wasn't trying to insult them. He'd just run headlong into a glaring difference between his time and this. Picard gave a small smile.
Well, there's one little quirk in your favor. Your seniority. Your commission date still stands, making you, in fact, the most senior captain currently on duty. You may be able to parlay that into great influence, Captain. And on behalf of all you have sacrificed in the line of duty, I will defend that seniority.
Morgan Bateson pushed off the couch, stood up, then shuffled to the huge viewing ports. He gazed out at open space.
We have no mission. Our ship is outdated. Gentlemen, my crew doesn't need counseling. They need a purpose. They need a reason to focus their minds forward. It's my new mission in life to provide them with one.
Something tells me you'll find your way, Captain, and we will unceasingly defend you.
Riker smiled.
Yes, we will. That's a promise.
The year 2371. Federation Starbase 12.
Between commands. That queasy insecurity. No ship, no home port, no mission. Commander Will Riker couldn't get rid of the feeling. Shore leave was good when a docked ship lay waiting to go out again. But where there was no ship. As he hurried along the promenade at Starbase 12, Riker was anxious to meet Captain Picard. Command of the Enterprise D had been Jean-Luc Picard's crowning achievement. Now the ship was wrecked beyond all salvage, destroyed in the line of duty, crashed to a planet's surface to save the lives of her crew. At first, the crew had felt victorious at simply having survived, then relieved, and now deeply disturbed by twin burdens, living in the uneasy vacuum between assignments and dealing with the heavy weight of having failed to bring their ship home. Losing the ship seemed to be getting worse with time. Riker entered the command officer's lounge. Jean-Luc Picard stood at the wide windows of the viewing portico, watching the movements of ships and workers in the protected work cavity of Starbase 12. He didn't turn at Riker's greeting.
Good morning, Captain. How are you today?
Well enough. Same as yesterday and the day before and the weekend.
I'll get you some tea, sir, just the way you like it.
Riker turned to the replicator.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Picard accepted the steaming cup of tea from the receiver port.
I never order anything else, do I? Every time it's tea, Earl Grey, hot. Perhaps next time I'll be wild and ask for hot grey tea Earl. The poor computer will have a stroke.
Riker felt as if he were picking his way through a minefield.
Sir, it's been 5 months now. You've approved every reassignment request from the general crew, but haven't you noticed that none of those requests have come from your command staff? Most of us are holding off on reassignment. We're assuming.
Don't say it. I know what you're all assuming.
Before Riker could respond, an announcement came on over the Starbase comm.
Attention all Starbase personnel, residents, and visitors. There will be a special encore showing of A Night to Remember at 1800 hours tonight.
The touring exhibit of artifacts from the Titanic are currently on display on decks 4, 5, and 9 of the USS Bozeman. Thank you, and welcome aboard. Leave it to us to have a temporary billet at a starbase hosting artifacts from ships in various conditions of wreck. Maybe they should just put us on display. Will, you're taking this far too personally. Captain, I came down here to cheer you up. I don't need cheering up. Picard turned back to the big window. This is my second loss of a command. I have had hundreds of adventures, chances to save lives, and advanced changes far beyond my most wild anticipations. I've been absorbed by the Borg collective and survived. That's a chance denied millions of innocent victims. The Borg still have a little grip on me. Now and then I can feel it. I never know how that will manifest itself. But if it does come forward again, it's not only myself at risk, it's any crew I'm commanding. Over 1,000 people who have faith in me to have a good grip on any situation. Am I being fair to them? And what about you, Will? Is any of this fair to you at all? Will you ever move on if I don't? As a matter of fact, I'm rather looking forward to life without that weight on my shoulders. There are other frontiers, you know. I've always felt drawn to archaeology. A quiet, sunlit dig somewhere, a cool drink, big hat, shovel and a brush. Sand in your teeth, sunburn on your nose, calluses on your knees. And the wind in my hair. Oh, Will, it's not all that bad. We've been cleared on the loss of the ship, and that's something. We're all free to accept new assignments, if we want them. After a moment, Riker joined his captain at the large viewing windows. And there was the reason the colony was still here, and the reason this starbase was still here. Beneath them was the border cutter Bozeman, docked here as a spacefaring museum. In its belly right now were precious museum collections of artifacts from famous lost ships, brought here to be appreciated by successive generations who otherwise would forget. 3 years ago, Riker had seen Captain Bateson absorb a great loss. He wondered if he was seeing the same resignation in his own captain now. Picard shifted his feet. I wonder how James Kirk handled losing his Enterprise. Why him all of a sudden? Not all of a sudden. I met him only briefly, yet he made an impression on me. For a man who took things so personally, what was it like to lose that first Enterprise? He ordered the destruct sequence. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. Yes. His ship had come to the end of her tether, but he still summoned up one last chance for his crew to live. They did live, by the way. All of them who were on that ship that day. And so did all of us. Yes, but somehow, even though it's happened to me again, I still can't imagine what it must have been like for him. Why don't you go ask him? The captain turned away from the window, perplexed. Riker smiled. The holodeck computer bank has all of his adventures programmed in as holoprograms. While he was on faculty at Starfleet Academy, Kirk cooperated in making all of his mission logs into programs and extrapolated on them for guest participation. I hadn't given it a thought. Well, you should. And, sir, are you ready to visit the new starship? After all, everyone's assuming. Suppose it's my duty to stoke the rumors, isn't it? Not rumors, sir. Hopes. Just the pitiful wishes of a group of ragtag misfits, alone in the universe but for each other, clinging to the forlorn, museful glimmerings of... I'm walking out the door, number one. You're not still talking, are you? No, sir, not me. Let's go to the right, sir. It's shorter. Long, long years and many grinding sorrows. Was this the shining return of nights? No. This was the melancholy reappearance of coachmen in a not very impressive coach. No great Klingon warship, only an exploratory tank, now crammed full of samples and specimens. Not even any unusual specimens. In the center seat on this dim and stuffy bridge, Commander Kozara sat in silence. A sharp-eyed patrol ship on the outer expanse had forced them to identify themselves. By now, everyone on Fortress Zagoda and half the Klingon command structure knew Kozara and his glorious crew were finally coming home. The final tether drew into its mount and locked there. The expedition was over. Galen caught a thin reflection of himself in the scratched frame of the sensor mount at the helm. Both he and Kozara were ragged now, aged by years and even more by this humiliating voyage. Galen glanced at his commander. Kozara was tight with his small hopes.
He may be here, Commander. Since our approach was not secret, he may have been notified. He will be here, Galen. My son Zaidan will be in that station to greet us. Forgiveness will be on his lips. We have done our jobs without question. We went where we were told without protest. Zaidan's open arms will welcome us back to honor.
Hope fired through Galen's chest. He saw each of the bridge crew swell a bit with the new chance, the flicker of logic in what Kozara said. They had done all that had been asked of them, done it without protest. Yes, they could return. The forward screen now showed a view of the far side of the station ring. They could see all the other ships being worked on or loading. There were 3 warships, so different from the one they'd piloted. How long ago was it now? These new ships were more massive, stronger. To look at them was a pain in the heart. Obviously, they'd missed a considerable rearmament of the Klingon fleet. Why was there a rearmament? What was happening in the galaxy today? Were they still young enough to build their lives again? Galen hardly knew anymore. He looked at Kozara. The commander sat as if sculpted into his seat. Would Kozara's son be here? The boy's life had been bedeviled by ridicule. He'd managed to become a construction engineer, making buildings, bridges, and spaceports like this one. Only 2 things had saved him from the crushing weight of his father's failure. One was his natural skill with architecture. The second was his father's only success, destruction of the Starfleet border ship that had ruined the assault on Starbase 12. Now the humiliation had been scrubbed clean, and Kozara could have a son again. Galen and the other members of the crew could begin again after 90 years. If they were not too old, perhaps they could have sons. And they were old, all of them. All were gray and crusty, their skull ridges pronounced and spiny. Their best days were past. If Zaidan were here, that would be a clue. There might be hope. Galen held his breath when the bridge direct access vault opened, and they were once again connected with others of the Empire. And there stood a young Klingon. Kozara moved on once powerful legs towards Zaidan. The commander straightened and squared his shoulders within the armor he no longer completely filled.
My son.
Zaidan slowly tilted his head to one side.
My pain. Why do you say this to your father? Do you know what happened while you were gone? Your one victory was snuffed out. That is what happened. Bateson is back.
Galen heard what Zaidan said, but could make no sense of it. The Federation ship had disappeared in a place where nothing could disappear. Kozara's face twisted.
We drove him into a planet. He is dead.
He did not die. He did not plow into a planet. He went into a time anomaly, and he emerged 3 years ago to be escorted in trumpeting victory to Starbase 12 by none less than that petrified block, Jean-Luc Picard and the big-cursed Enterprise. Not only is Morgan Bateson back, but Morgan Bateson is famous. A hero. Bateson came forward in time with his ship bearing the signs of battle and his crew intact. Since then, the Empire has been the laughingstock of the galaxy. An entire invasion was turned back by a single border ship and its 40-man crew. In Starfleet, to stumble on a pebble is now called a Kozara maneuver. Your one little victory against Morgan Bateson saved me from scraping animal dung from Imperial streets. Since he came back, do you know what life has been for me? No one wants a bridge, an outpost, a box, a sewage station built by Zidon, son of Kozara. Now, this week comes the biggest embarrassment of all. The Federation is about to launch a new starship. It is the 6th Starship Enterprise, and the great Morgan Bateson is master of ceremonies. Is there no relief for me? Must everything you do haunt me this way?
Galen's eyes were boiling. The faces of the other crewmen were dusky with hopelessness. Their lives were over. Kozara tried so hard to think that the old scar in his skull turned darker.
His entire crew came through time with him, you said?
Yes, so what?
Then there is a chance. If his entire crew came through, then I am vindicated, because there is a Klingon operative on his staff.
You are fantasizing, my father. There is no such person.
Kozara circled his command chair, a flicker of life in his eye.
I will kill Bateson, and I will smash the Federation's new starship at the same time. No, not enough. I will make the entire Federation hate what they have built. For all time, I will vilify the name of Enterprise. How will you and one miserable old ship destroy the new starship? I do not mean to destroy it. I mean to possess it.
Kozara swung around to face his bridge crew.
Listen, all of you. We will get a ship, a good ship. We will give the ship a name that will ring in history. Bateson is still young, but I have 90 more years' experience to use against him. We will snatch our names back from the gullet of shame. This I promise, I vow, I swear to my son, on the blood of our fathers, there will never be another Enterprise.
There she was, the Enterprise E. The new Sovereign-class ship was a creature of motion, as if she were going warp 5 standing still. Riker felt supremely privileged. He hadn't been in on the launch of the Enterprise D, or any other starship for that matter. Until this moment, looking out at the new ship, he hadn't realized what he'd missed. Judging by the spectator pods and media coaches that hovered at the ordered distance around the box dock, the whole Federation understood the significance of this new starship. He felt a little guilty as the pod he and Picard were using to approach the ship was cleared by the harbor master. Unlike all those spectators, he and Picard could go right through the restricted postings and pilot up to the starship itself.
Captain, here she is. Yes, Mr. Riker. Very pretty.
An inward groan rattled through Riker's chest. The captain simply stood there and eyed the ship sidelong as if unwilling to commit. Riker turned away from the captain and punched the clearance to dock. The pod would nuzzle itself in. Before either Riker or Picard could escape the pod, a smiling Deanna Troi flew toward them.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Good morning, Counselor. Thank you for your eagerness.
Then Riker stepped out of Dr. Beverly Crusher's way as she moved across the deck and slipped her arm into Picard's.
Jean-Luc, so good to see you. Beverly, you're teasing me with that siren song, aren't you? Not teasing, openly flirting. Welcome aboard.
Riker again stepped out of the way. There was Engineer Geordi LaForge, his dark features glossy from the jog down the long corridor, and his cybernetic eyes shining with emotion that shouldn't have been showing there. He plowed between the two women and grabbed the captain's hand and started pumping.
Captain, good morning.
How totally unexpected. All right, where's Data?
He's right behind me, sir. Data, what took you so long? I was distracted by the wonderful music coming from the rec deck. Someone is in there playing Smoky Mountain music. It is so down-home and toe-tapping. Do you all not love it too? For years, Data had been an ideal android, completely cool, a little curious. Recently, though, a chip in his positronic brain gave Data something that Riker had thought unprogrammable. But apparently, it had been done. Data had emotions. Now he was as human as any of them, and about 3 times more naive. Captain Picard nodded. The irrepressible Commander Data. I suppose there's something to be said for banjos and fiddles. Now, what is this? What are all of you doing aboard this ship? Don't tell me you're signed on already. Crusher pulled him a few steps forward. Just hedging our bets. Don't gripe. Crusher and Troy angled the captain into the open corridor of the big ship. Riker, LaForge, and Data followed. The corridor was glossy and smelled new. The braces and door frames had a certain streamlined liquidity, sculpted beyond function into an art form. They strode directly through the lower body of the ship to the main engine room. Here, their welcoming committee of 1 was right inside the entrance, a rotund, silver-haired gentleman with a black mustache and ruddy cheeks.
Captain Picard, welcome aboard, sir.
Captain Scott, as we both live and breathe.
Sir, welcome aboard the new lass. Hope you're as well as I look. We expected you a month back. Poor Data's been just twitching.
Riker poked in between Data and LaForge.
How did you get assigned here, Captain Scott? Hold a string or two, lad. Captain Bateson and I are longtime friends, and I mean long-time friends.
Montgomery Scott had been confused and out of place when he'd first been rescued from transporter stasis. But apparently his talents hadn't been buried by misfortune. Riker admired him for his resilience, but found Scott's ability to fit into this starship somehow annoying at a time when Riker and his captain were having trouble finding their own places. He glanced at Picard. He could tell that the captain wasn't looking forward to the tour. The engine room panels parted again, and for an instant Riker thought they'd be offered a little distraction. But no such luck. The person who appeared in the doorway would hardly be a relief. Morgan Bateson. He hadn't changed much in the past 3 years, hardly at all, in fact. Still had the neat musketeer's beard, not so different from Riker's. Bateson had his eyes down at a pad as he strode in and paused in the middle of the wide deck. Bateson didn't notice them as he stood there in the middle of the engineering deck, writing. When he'd finished, he instantly noticed the group of Picardians.
Well, what's this? Captain Picard, what a nice surprise. Beautiful, isn't she? Quite a ship Starfleet's got here. How long have you been aboard?
Less than 5 minutes, Captain. She's lovely. Bateson's animated face shifted instantly from joy to sympathy.
I'm so very sorry about your starship. A great adventure with a great ending, though. Your crew made a safe planetfall, at least. Fall is one way to put it. Oh, sorry. Look, Picard, if you don't mind waiting a few minutes for your tour, I have to pass along these schematics to the engineers on board the Roderick. She's being built in the other dock. Gotta have some fighting ships ready, you know, with the Klingons making so many angry noises these days.
Picard faced his former command officers.
All right, I'm done with you. I'm going over here to visit Captain Bateson. Captain Picard, let's you and I go off somewhere and be captain-like.
Everyone went their own way except for Riker, Troy, and Crusher. Beverly Crusher folded her long arms.
It's eerie the way those two get along. Bateson's a little obsessive. Worries me. He's been all over this ship. He's micromanaging everything. And he's got the ship littered with his own crew from the Bozeman.
Riker nodded.
Bateson said he would make it his cause in life to give them a future so they wouldn't fixate on the past. He found out a new ship was being built and figured this was one way to get in on the ground floor or something. Doesn't surprise me. He's trying to jumpstart a whole new life for himself and his crew.
Riker looked from Crusher to Troy.
All right, ladies, let's hear it. What do you think is going on?
Troy glanced at Crusher,
then spoke. "We think he's jockeying for command."
I don't see how. He was 90 years out of date 3 years ago. 3 years isn't enough to catch up, at least I don't think so.
There's also talk of Captain Riker. Riker stopped their speculations.
Picard wants it.
Crusher reached for Riker's arm. "When did he say it? Tell us his exact words." Riker swiveled to one side.
"Sorry, I've got to go analyze the system."
Troy batted Crusher's hand away from Riker's arm, and they all turned together, looking like a vaudeville show. Captain Picard approached, scolding them with his glare.
"You're a sight, all of you. Captain Bateson's waiting for you on the other side of engineering. He's going to conduct your tour. I've been called away to Admiral Farrow's office."
It took all of Riker's self-control to keep from clapping the captain on the shoulder.
"That's gotta be it."
Crusher was openly gleeful.
"Jean-Luc, it's wonderful."
And Deanna Troi beamed.
"The ship is ours."
As Captain Picard entered Admiral Farrow's office, he wished he could avoid what was to come, for he had no idea what answer he would give to the options posed. Farrow stood up to greet him, then gestured toward the plush antique velvet couch.
"Good morning, Captain Picard. Have you seen the new Starship?" "Just came from there. She's quite a work of art. I haven't had the chance to examine the technology quite yet, but... but you'll get to it, I know. Admiral, please put me out of my misery, will you?" "Yes. So sorry, Jean-Luc. On behalf of the Admiralty, with all our congratulations and appreciation, I'm pleased to offer you the rank of Rear Admiral. Now, you don't need to accept right away. In fact, we'd prefer you didn't. We have a thing or two bubbling in Cardassian space. You might like to take charge of those, leading a small team to Cardassia Prime." "I'm not a commander, Admiral. Why choose me for this?" "We've been contacted by a Cardassian with whom we've developed a relationship. This contact confirmed some things that have only been suspected until now, and she asked for you by name." "Admiral, this is entirely a mystery to me."
Farrow handed Picard a data pad.
"It'll all make sense once you read this. Should I give you some time to absorb this?" No, sir. May I only say I'm sure Will Riker will make a superb captain for the new Starship." "Yes, I know he would." "But command will be going to Captain Bateson for the ship's launch cruise." "Sir, I genuinely believe Mr. Riker deserves command." "He well may, but it doesn't matter right now. Bateson has massive amounts of seniority." "That's because of a quirk of time travel." "It was you yourself who recommended Starfleet give him full seniority consideration. Besides that, his record is not only spotless but exemplary, and he's a hero in this sector. Starfleet can do worse than to recognize its own heroes, can it not, Captain? Or shall I say, Admiral?" "Don't say it yet."
The heady thrill of a promotion was completely lost on Picard, totally vanquished by the idea that Bateson and not Riker would have command of the Enterprise E. Farrow said, "Now, let us discuss the mission Starfleet has for you." "A mission for a captain without a ship." The officers' guest quarters aboard the Enterprise E was more like a hotel lobby than a ship's briefing room. But Picard knew that meeting with Riker, Troi, and Crusher in a briefing room would be strangely inappropriate today. He faced his officers huddled around a glass table. "Thank you all for being here. Before you all pop from curiosity and anticipation, I shall cut to the bottom line. I have not been offered command of the new Enterprise. Command for the ship's shakedown cruise has been given to Morgan Bateson.
Riker digested the captain's words with a heavy heart. Troy burst out. "I don't believe it. Morgan Bateson is 90 years out of date. He can't possibly be qualified." Picard gave her an icy glare. "You're mistaken about that. Captains of the past had to think fast, and that's what Bateson has done. Bateson may not be technically up to snuff, but I'd be more circumspect about his command instincts." Crusher held out one hand. "The shakedown cruise? Then Bateson's in temporary command, right?" "It is, in fact, temporary. But temporary status is usually only a formality. I've already given him my congratulations. When I spoke to him, he asked me to carry a request to you, Will." Startled out of his misery, Riker looked up. "What kind of request?" "He'd like you to come along with him on his shakedown cruise as first officer." "Bateson already has a first officer. He doesn't need two." "No, but he does need someone familiar with current technology, star territory, and spacefaring. He's no fool. He knows what he doesn't know. When I went into Admiral Farrow's office, he informed me that Captain Bateson would be taking command for now. I went strangely numb, no feeling at all except perhaps anger on Mr. Riker's behalf. Then the Admiral started talking about something else, and I forgot all about the Starship. He's given me an assignment. I've accepted." Crusher blurted out, "The Admiralty?" "No. I'm still a captain for now, and without a desk job. It's a mission. Now that the Klingons are making trouble with Cardassia and the peace in this quadrant is broken, the Cardassians are motivated to cooperate with the Federation. We have an opportunity we haven't had before. My mission is to go into Cardassian space and reclaim our MIAs, our missing in action." Beverly Crusher leaned forward. "Federation nationals? Are you serious?" "You mean the Cardassians are holding Federation citizens as prisoners?" "Not just Federation citizens. Starfleet personnel. Over the past 3 years, the USS Durant and several Starfleet personnel have been classified as missing in or near Cardassian space. Also, there have been some merchant vessels and one satellite tender, the Tuscany, gone missing under suspicious circumstances. The Cardassians insist there are no prisoners, but I know otherwise. They also claimed I wasn't there, being held, being tortured, and I certainly was there. I intend to take a private vessel, a non-Starfleet ship, go into Cardassian territory, and confront Gul Madred personally." Beverly Crusher gripped the edge of the table. "Jean-Luc, you can't, after what he did to you." "I know what he did to me. That's how I know what he's doing to our missing people. I'm going." Silence fell. No one knew what to say. Finally, Riker spoke. "Sir, permission to go with you into Cardassian space." "That's appreciated, number one, but this isn't the Federation Volunteer Corps. I expect you to go with Bateson cheerfully on the shakedown cruise. And the next time you're offered command, take it." Startled, Riker clamped his mouth shut on anything else he might have said. Beside him, the two women stared at Picard. Then Troy spoke. "Captain, we've always been a family as well as an assignment." The captain riveted Troy with a long stare. "We're not a family, Counselor. Starfleet isn't a social club. Our ship is gone, and we must expect changes. Mr. Riker has been given an assignment where his talents are needed. You, Mr. Data, and Mr. LaForge are also assigned to the Enterprise E, and I expect you to serve Captain Bateson with every bit the loyalty and energy I have enjoyed from you." Crusher folded her arms, and Troy sank back next to her. Picard continued. "Captain Bateson has assigned 39 members of his Bozeman crew to the Starship. The Starship will also be manned by over 300 additional Starship crewmen from, well, our time." Riker frowned. 300? That ship takes over 1,000. "Not for a shakedown cruise. Only department heads and technical specialists will be on board for now. Captain Scott will remain on board as chief engineer, and Mr. LaForge will be assistant chief. Counselor,
Captain Bateson doesn't want a ship's counselor on duty, so you'll be part of the medical staff. Mr. Data, well, he can do the work of almost the entire science staff. Dr. Crusher, on the other hand, will be going with me into Cardassian space.
Crusher let out a sigh of relief, and Riker tried one more request.
Captain, at least take Data with you. No. Mr. Data is physically far stronger than any Cardassian or human, and he's quite obviously an android. He'd present the wrong kind of intimidation. However, I do intend to take some intimidation along with me. I've already contacted Captain Sisko at Deep Space Nine. I'm going to stop off there and borrow Commander Worf.
Crusher challenged him.
You're trying to appear neutral, and you're taking a Klingon into Cardassian space? I want a neutral ship, but this is not a neutral mission.
As he spoke, Picard went to a closet and removed an already packed and strapped suitcase and a Starfleet duffel bag.
Now, listen to me. Morgan Bateson is a man with different priorities than you and I have ever known. No matter how much we may disapprove, he believes in himself more than the structure of Starfleet. Captains of his time had to. You can learn something from a man like that. The Klingons have been quiet for nearly 80 years, but they've been a smoldering volcano. Now the top is blowing off. They've always been resource poor, angry at having been contained by the Federation, and now they've found reasons to be our enemies again. Whether we like it or not, Morgan Bateson's attitude about Klingons is back in fashion. He is the captain of the Enterprise now. I expect you to treat him accordingly. Mr. Riker, Counselor, you both report to Captain Bateson at 1100. Doctor, get your things and report to Captain Reynolds aboard the Merchant Explorer Half Moon. Take whatever you may need for a rescue mission. We leave in an hour.
Aboard the new starship, Commander William T. Riker was greeted by two young officers.
Mr. Riker, I'm Mike Dennis. This is Wiz Dayton. Welcome to the Enterprise E.
Riker nodded.
Report ship status, Mr. Dennis. Sir, we're underway at impulse speed. Course is Port Interspace Standard on lane Delta India Tango away from Starbase 12. Trying to shake all the confetti off the hull from the launch celebrations. The department heads are preparing to report hyperlight readiness. Very well, Lieutenant. We'll show you to your quarters, sir. Then the captain has requested that you join him on the bridge.
Riker followed the officers, knowing they were two of Bateson's original crew. That made him uneasy. Then a voice sounded from inside the open door of a tool locker.
Hey. Hi, bud.
Something extraordinary occurred. A drunken man, reeling unashamedly and clutching what looked like an antique silver flask, piled out of an open doorway and threw an arm around Wiz Dayton.
Here he is. First there was man, then there was woman, then there was wizard.
Dayton shrugged unhappily.
Hi, Gabe. Take it easy, okay?
Riker stepped back a couple of paces just to get a better look. This was Gabriel Bush. This hollow-eyed shadow of a human being was Bateson's upright first officer from the Bozeman.
Mr. Bush, are you all right?
Oh, I'm good. I'm wicked good. I could tell you stories. Hey, you want to have some of this?
He waved the silver flask in front of Riker's face.
What is it?
This? Rum, what else? I'll share it with you. Later.
Bush wandered off down the corridor and disappeared into a lab. The three watched him go, and Wiz Dayton spoke as the lab door slid shut.
Sir, he's been like that since we got to this century, give or take 6 months. He was about to get married when we ended up lost. We all just loved Ruby. That's the girl he was going to marry. Gabe was the happiest man in the whole sector. He's like that, even after 3 whole years.
Dennis and Dayton looked at each other uncomfortably. Evidently, there was more. Dayton began.
Mr. Bush looked into what happened to Ruby. It wasn't very nice. She spent years looking for us, hiring ships, scratching resources together, buying search services, getting fleeced, getting older. She finally used up all her resources except a single ship that she took out by herself. She had word that Gabe was a prisoner of the Klingons, and she was determined to get him back. She headed straight for the Klingon border. The Klingons got her? Yes. Captured, tried as a spy, and sentenced to Rurapenthi prison planet. The Federation tried to get her back, but she had trespassed on restricted territory. Anyway, the Klingons were about to let her go on a technicality, but then they found out who she was, the fiancée of the Bozeman's first officer. The Bozeman, the ship that wrecked their invasion and sent the High Council into a tailspin. That's right. After that, they sent Ruby back all right. In 10 small boxes, the same number of dignitaries purged from the High Council. Dennis picked up the story from Dayton. When Gabe checked on what had happened to her, there was a nice, clear set of pictures in the files. He just sat there for days staring at the monitor. He was just eaten up with guilt. With new sorrow and empathy, Riker looked down the now empty corridor. Wiz Dayton followed his gaze. I guess you can see, sir, why we protect Mr. Bush. Captain Bateson's been running interference for him, making sure nobody finds out. All of us on board, we all understand. And he does do his job, usually. Please don't say anything, sir. As the two men led him in silence to his new quarters, Riker struggled to decide just how to handle this. As first officer, it fell upon him to handle problems of the crew. Not quite this personal, but certainly if those problems affected the ship. And this would. On the other hand, his responsibility was much more the crew than other senior officers. Bush was still a senior officer, and thus was more the captain's concern. By the time Riker was introduced to his quarters, then was escorted to the bridge of the Starship, he was solidly grumpy about the way Morgan Bateson ran his command. Lieutenant Dennis led him on to the sweeping bridge of the new Enterprise. Each brace, chair, and support was designed to mimic the streamlined, forward-leaning outer configuration of the ship's hull, making each station look as if it were about to leap off a cliff and fly. Dennis immediately went to his station, leaving Riker to stand in the turbolift vestibule and look about in privacy. There were some people here, a few officers. Captain Bateson was standing just over there on the port side, going over something on a pad with an engineer. Riker stepped down deck and strode on the plush carpet to where Deanna Troi worked on the environmental control panel. Deanna? I thought you were assigned to medical. I am, Will. I'm adjusting temp control for some of the lower decks. It's been a little haywire. We can't find the problem. Deanna, have you seen Mr. Bush? Yes, I've seen him. I think he saw 2 or 3 of me as well. What do you make of all that? She kept working on the panel so no one would notice their lowered voices. I think he's sunken into severe depression, but the captain won't let me practice as a counselor. And to tell you the truth, Will, I don't think there's much I could do for Mr. Bush. He's been cured of the alcoholism several times. He's not simply physically dependent. He's just grief-stricken. I'm not sure I'd prescribe much more than he's getting right now. Simple, hard work. She glanced across the bridge to where Captain Bateson still had his back to them. It's his fault. He keeps protecting Bush. He thinks only shipmates can help shipmates. When I disagree, he just brings up our loyalty to Captain Picard and to each other. And what can I say? Oh, Will, we all tried so hard to get assigned here. We assumed Captain Picard. That's enough, Deanna. Guess I'd better report in. I'll talk to you later. Riker broke away from her and crossed the fresh carpet to where the captain was looking at controls and comparing them to a pad. When Bateson nodded and handed the pad back to the engineer, he turned, saw Riker, and his animated face beamed. Oh, well, welcome aboard. I appreciate your deciding to accept my request. Excuse me. Bridge to main engineering. Captain Scott, Engineer LaForge, Commander Data. Join us up here, please. And tell Gabe to get that brandy-soaked carcass topside pronto. Captain out.
Without waiting for acknowledgments, the captain took Riker's arm and strolled with him around the upper deck. Will, I always want you to be honest. I'm counting on that. I won't learn anything from polite deceptions. I know you were holding out for command of the Enterprise, and I suppose you rather hate my guts right now. In spite of that, I'm going to gamble on your decent sense of duty and ask you to serve for a few months to usher me and my men through the shakedown period. What do you say, Will? Are you too bitter to do what's good for Starfleet? Annoyed, Riker managed to disengage his elbow from Bateson's grip. Sir, I believe I've already answered that question with my presence here. All right. Noted. You got me there. I just had that speech all worked out, and I didn't want to waste it. Understood, sir. And it was a first-rate speech, too. Thank you. I thought so. Then Bateson's eyes narrowed. Attention all hands. Propulsion and science stations confirmed ready for warp speed. A shiver of excitement went up Riker's spine in spite of his effort not to like all this. He did like it, damn it. The launch of a new starship. Captain Scott rolled out of the turbolift, beaming happily, followed by Geordi LaForge and Data. Riker was stung by the absence of Captain Picard, Beverly Crusher, and Worf. Would they ever be together again? A few seconds later, two engineers piled out of the secondary turbolift beside the main screen. Behind them, out sloshed Gabe Bush, with Wiz Dayton guiding him along. Riker suddenly realized what was going on. Bateson had his whole bridge crew from the Bozeman here now, as well as all onboard officers from Enterprise D. Bateson looked around. Department staff, I'll take your reports now. Captain Scott, Geordi LaForge, Data, Troy, and Wolf all reported that their departments will go for warp speed. Finally, Bateson smiled at the bridge crew with genuine warmth. Thank you, all of you, for having more faith in me than I deserve. Mr. LaForge, how about a little nostalgia? Would you like to take your original post as navigator for the first watch? Yes, sir. I'd like that very much. Bateson motioned to the seat on the right of the command chair. Mr. Riker, your place is right here. Then Bateson motioned to the chair on the left. Gabe, I want you right here beside me, too. Not nearly as jolly as the last time Riker had seen him, Gabe Bush had obviously been sobered up a little by his shipmates. Twitching with self-consciousness, he flushed in humiliation and took his seat. Then Bateson took his place in the captain's chair. Captain's log, stardate 5021.9. Captain Morgan Bateson recording. Log, first engagement of matter-antimatter propulsion system, USS Enterprise, NCC 1701E. Give us warp factor 1. On the screen, space blew into gorgeous distortion. The Fries-Posnikov sector blurred into some kind of painting, and then they were going faster than Einstein thought anyone ever could. As the USS Enterprise E pressed her armored shoulders forward into hyperlight speed, she was indeed a beauty, inside and out. She was a grand ship. Only time and trial would tell if she was also a great ship. When they'd settled down and most people's eyes had dried up some, Will Riker turned to Captain Bateson. What's our destination, sir? We're going right out to the far edge of the Typhon Expanse, our old hunting grounds. Captain, that's directly adjacent to the Klingon neutral zone. It's considered hostile space. The Federation recommends that all shipping remain clear of the Expanse. Yes, I know that, Mr. Riker. Bateson tilted his head and surveyed the officers of the Enterprise E. What's the matter with all of you? You look like a raft of seals. We have a mission to undertake. A mission, sir? On a shakedown cruise? That's right. War games, Mr. Riker. In preparation for that, I've ordered shields reduced to 50% and phasers powered down to 10%. Captain, reducing phaser power while we maneuver just minutes away from the Klingon Empire? We have to talk. Mr. Riker, this isn't command by committee. We don't have to talk. Well, sir, we're going to do just that. Captain Picard started to retreat to his excuse for quarters aboard the Half Moon, a strange old rattletrap of a private ship. But before he could reach his quarters, the ship's lanky captain stopped him.
Captain Picard, I'm Chip Reynolds. Welcome aboard. Did you get squared away into a bunk? Yes, thank you, Captain. Captain Picard, I'm willing to go into Cardassian space, but you do understand the difference in speed and armaments between this ship and just about any Starfleet ship.
Yes, I understand. In fact, it's preferable. I don't want a fighting vessel for this mission. My message is entirely different. Rather stronger, I think. As long as you keep to your top speed, we'll get to Cardassia Prime in adequate time.
Yes, sir. Oh, I've got something for you. To pass the time.
Reynolds reached into his captain's case and pulled out several computer cartridges.
Mr. Riker delivered these holo-programs to me just before we left Starbase 12. He also had holo-equipment installed in our cargo hold. I never saw a team work so fast. He had a guy he said was an android, going like some kind of rocket on the installation. Riker told me not to tell you until we were on the way. Hope that's all right.
Picard shook his head at Riker's persistence.
It wouldn't be the first time he did something behind my back.
He turned the top cartridge to read the label.
Starship Logs Enhanced, USS Enterprise NCC 1701. Captain James T. Kirk, stardate 1672.1. Specimen Gathering Mission, Planet Alpha 177. Sounds like a great show, sir. Are they completely interactive?
I believe so.
Thank you, Captain. I'll try to stay out of your way. As soon as you encounter one of the Cardassian navigational beacons, notify me. I'll leave it up to you which course to take into their area.
Picard glanced down at the cartridges.
If it takes a few more hours, so be it.
Kozara acted like a different man from the broken hulk that had greeted Zidon aboard the research vessel. Aboard this Klingon warbird, he was as calm and confident as he had ever been.
Bateson is coming to the Typhon Expanse with the new Enterprise for war games with a single Starfleet ship called the Nora Nichols. On both ships, shields and weapons will be reduced to bare minimum. That means we can take both ships.
His son glared suspiciously.
How do you know this? I have been in contact with the spy. He is still with us.
Galen demanded.
How could you contact him? With my connections in the Council. Though they would not meet my eyes, they had to listen to me. I was right. The contact was reactivated after Bateson came from the past. And here we are today, with advantages. The Klingon Empire has not lain idle during the ill-advised peace with those people. We know how to take that ship. But what if he will not engage you? He will engage. He is an impatient youth. You cannot teach a young dog an old dog's tricks. But there are obstacles. There is an android assigned to that ship. We can neutralize it if we prepare.
On the bridge of the Enterprise E, all attention was focused on the confrontation brewing between Riker and Bateson.
Captain, you don't take a brand new ship into a demilitarized zone near hostile space with reduced shields and weapons. Mr. Riker, the Nora Nichols is already in position waiting to trapdoor us. The arrangements have all been made. War games near the neutral zone will demonstrate to the Klingons that the Federation is not intimidated by their recent martial prancing. Sir, despite the handsome reports of all your department officers that the starship is ready for warp speed, there are 10,000 bugs that haven't been worked out. Doing this so close to the Klingon neutral zone at a time when there are hostilities with the Klingons. I'm used to hostilities with the Klingons, remember? Captain, that was 90 years ago. 93, Mr. Riker. But Klingons are Klingons. They can't have changed that much. Captain, one of my closest friends is a Klingon. Well, I don't care if your mother and two of your sisters are Klingons. Your ships are a little faster than ours were, and a little tougher.
but you've never really fought Klingons. That's the first best rule of any engagement. Know your enemy. You don't know them. I know them. Let's get to the point. You want a shuttlecraft? You want to get off? You and your friends? There's the door. Make a decision.
Riker settled back on his heels.
That's uncalled for, sir. May I respectfully recommend that shields not be reduced in power during the war games. You may. Scotty, please explain it to Mr. Riker. Shields have to be reduced in correlation with the reduction in phaser power, or else the sensors couldn't measure hull impact and record damage potential accurately. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Satisfied, Mr. Riker? No, sir. We're at peace. Peace, Captain. With your attitude, do you even know what that means? I know one of the charms of peace is putting off thinking about things that are ugly. The willful lack of candor and foresight are precisely the ingredients to create a catastrophe. If you want peace, you must prepare for war. Strong words, Captain. But I'm frankly terrified that a ship of this power is commanded by a man who thinks that peace and fooling ourselves are the same thing. Respectfully submit, sir. The captain is obsessed with Klingons. Maybe. What difference does that make? If it's not the Klingons, you can be sure it'll be somebody else. Maybe somebody worse.
Riker suddenly felt uneasy. Bateson could very well be right. The NCC 1701D crew members had already wrangled with worse than the Klingons, and they probably would again.
Well, Mr. Riker, either comply or lead a mutiny or get off the ship. We don't ignore Klingons where I come from. Sir, I won't be leaving until this shakedown cruise is completed. And you are captain of the ship. I won't be the one to change that. Very well. Then carry on, Mr. Riker.
At the helm, Geordi LaForge reported.
Entering the lateral quadrant of the Typhon Expanse, sir. Acknowledged. Sound general quarters. Yellow alert.
The crew responded to Bateson's order in that clean, crisp way that had rumbled down through history, a series of relays and repeats that greatly reduced the chances of error. Finally, Riker turned to Bateson.
All confrontational and response systems are standing by, sir. Thank you. Have a seat. This'll be fun.
Science Officer Worf spoke from his panel.
Captain, picking up a warp trail already.
Bateson patted the arm of his comm chair.
Now we'll see what this debutante can do. Everybody keep your eyes open. We'll probably have to take the first hit. After that, we'll have a fix on the bogey.
On the main screen, several nebulae and clouds floated in a spectacular panorama, some closer than others. The colors were stunning. At once, Riker felt privileged to be able to enjoy this sight. He turned to mention some part of this when a hard hit from starboard knocked the Enterprise sideways in space. Half the crew fell or fumbled, but scrambled back to position almost instantly. Bateson looked around at the flagging lights.
I had no idea that lowered shield power would make that much of a difference.
Mike Dennis interrupted.
Sir, that strike was 97% Starfleet phaser power. Why haven't they reduced their output?
Data nodded.
Sir, I'm reading full shields on the other vessel.
Bateson turned to Worf.
Identify that ship. Confirm registry is the Nora Nichols.
Confirmed, sir. Emissions and configuration are Starfleet standard. Riker pushed up out of his chair. Why had the hit been so hard? Bateson stared at the smoldering green cloud from which the hit must have come.
Increase our shield power, Mr. Scott. That'll take 7 or 8 minutes, Captain. Weapons, Mr. Data.
Require 5 minutes to bring phasers up to full power, sir. Photon torpedoes are not online, in accordance with Starfleet wargame regulations.
How long to get them online?
19 minutes, sir, for main engineering.
Scotty, can you get that done?
Lieutenant Worf jumped to his feet. Sir, I can do that. My minor was quantum physics of motive-powered projectiles.
Go, John. Scotty, keep working on the shields. Mike, target that ship. Targeting, sir? But the cloud is obscuring sensor contact. I can't get a true fix.
LaForge suddenly shouted,
Another hit, coming in. The ship screamed in protest as real damage crackled through the systems. Bateson turned again.
Shield, Scotty?
Working on it, sir. But that second hit took out 2 polarity generators. They knew our shields would be reduced, and they're trying to keep them that way. Time to repair. At least 30 minutes, sir. Scott ducked into the turbolift as LaForge called out. These aren't Starfleet emissions. It's definitely not the Nora Nichols. But Wolf confirmed it. He was wrong, sir. Bateson peered at the swarming cloud in which their unidentified antagonist hid. And who is it? And what happened to the Nora Nichols? Dayton turned, one hand on his earpiece. Contact is hailing us, sir. But it's not a Starfleet... Sir, it's a Klingon signal. Whiz, respond. Frequency open, sir. This is Captain Bateson in command of the USS Enterprise. You are in Federation space and in violation of the Neutral Zone Treaty. Identify yourselves and prepare to stand down.
Morgan Bateson, welcome home, and bid welcome to the warrior whose name you ruined. Identify yourself as the plague you are, and prepare to lose everything.
Kozara? Oh, you blood blister. I thought it'd be 5 years, not 5 minutes. Boy, there are times when I really hate to be right. Emergency lights glowed on the bridge of the Enterprise. Bateson spoke urgently to Scott over the comlink. Scotty, we've got to have those shields.
Coming, sir. Got roughly 50% and building.
I'll take it. Red alert.
Red alert, aye.
Suddenly, LaForge pointed at the main screen. Look. All eyes turned to the main screen. Out of the churning pot of nebula gases and dust, an olive-colored head burst out of the cloud. It was followed by a truncated neck, and wings formed in a threatening arch. There it was. A Klingon ship where a Starfleet ship was supposed to be. A Klingon ship on this side of the border. Bateson's face was utterly still. Helm, sit down, take a deep breath, and come about and engage the enemy. Riker stepped into the command arena. Captain, we have to withdraw and call for backup. He's got something on us, or he wouldn't try this. Kozara's crazy. Most Klingons are. No, he's not, sir, or the Empire would never have given him a fighter and let him come here. That ship can't even catch us if we don't want it to. I'm not going to run, Mr. Riker. I set him up and he fell for it, and we're gonna take him down. So you were baiting the Klingons. That's right, and they fell for it. And we're not leaving without springing the trap. Data, put our strongest shields to him. Phasers ready? Fire! The ship thrummed with power, but not enough power. A ship geared for war games couldn't be brought up to full power in a matter of seconds. On the screen, Kozara's ship angled into the phaser streak and took the shot easily on its strongest shields. The return fire plumed through space, full disruptors. The enemy shots cut through key areas of the starship's hull, and damage reports flashed in from all over the ship. Inertial baseline system faltering, breach of integrity in the deuterium flow, plasma distribution manifold shut down.
Bridge, engineering.
Go ahead, engineering.
Systems are shutting down all over the ship. We've got some catastrophic failures to handle. Can we have a few minutes of buffer?
I'll try. Helm, bend off a few thousand kilometers. Give me some room to maneuver. The forward screen swirled and the starship veered away, leaving the Klingon ship behind by half a nebula or so. Bateson snapped. Is he following? Negative, sir. Why would he do that? Riker stood up. Captain, you got trumped. You're not seeing the warning signs. It's sabotage. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Mr. Riker. This ship is brand new. When would it have been sabotaged? Sir, I don't know, but we should back off to make repairs and notify Starfleet. We're going back in to engage the enemy, Will. You really want me to risk having Kozara go back to the Empire and tell them how weak our new starship is? Sir, we've been duped. Kozara knows the ship isn't weak. He obviously had advanced knowledge about the war game's power down, and he had design information about this vessel because he hit us right where it hurts most. And on top of that, he's betting you'll do just what you're doing. That's why he's not chasing us. You said know your enemy. Well, your enemy knows you, and he's had 93 years to get it right, Captain. We don't have to fight to the death just to make a point. Gabe Bush dropped to the command arena from the upper deck and drilled a finger at Riker's face. Hey, show some respect, you phony prig. Bateson stood up, grasped his loyal lush by both arms, and pulled him back. Gabe, down, Rover. This is no time for pluck and spunk. It's Riker's job to point these things out. Engineering, Scott here. We've got you some phaser power back now, sir, but it won't hold for long. Shields are holding at 42%. They'll take glancing blows if your helm can handle it. Helm, 1/3 impulse, attack maneuver. Data, fire as your phasers bear. The starship peeled back and swirled around the Klingon ship. On Bateson's order, Data fired, slicing through the Klingon's lateral shielding. Riker hoped there was something critical in that section. Just as the Enterprise rode out on her one victory, Kozara opened fire with full disruptors. The starship was caught on the underside of her main section, and the deck heaved up under the crew's feet. Bush called from tactical. Guidance is compromised, Captain. He's going after our impulse maneuvering capability. We're shallow and into the nebula. Riker spun to the nearest propulsion access and fired up the thrusters manually. The ship began to slow its faltering toward the nebula. LaForge called out. Sir, we're experiencing coded shutdown, and we don't know the codes to put the systems back online. Mr. Riker's right. It's got to be pre-planned. Somebody's on this ship shutting things down. Wiz Dayton interrupted. Captain? He's hailing. Put the son of a bitch on. Dog. Butterfly. We stand against each other again. In 2 new ships. And yours is falling apart. What have you done with the Nora Nichols? Was that little boat yours? Such a tragedy. But they got in my way. Are you saying you destroyed those people? Why would I tell you? I have the upper hand. I am old now, Bateson. My years have been spent in shame because of you. But today I will prevail. I will turn the fates around this one time, trick them once, and then I will disappear and never give fate a chance to get me again. And my son who spat upon my name will no longer live in my shadow. I'm sorry about your son, Kozara. Your Klingon system of honor has destroyed him, not me or Starfleet. Keep your pity. The time has passed for that. I have changed in many ways, and so have you in so much less time. And I thank you for one thing. You are so predictable now. In gratitude, I give you my gift for the sake of old times. Gabe Bush was staring into the science scopes. Captain, he's beaming something over. Data, will the shields hold? Not at this percentage, sir. As Data stood up from his post and turned, a ring-like device materialized on the deck beside him, glowing white-hot. Data's mouth fell open and his eyes flared. His entire body went rigid and fell to the deck. Riker ran to the fallen android. Positronic neutralizer. They took him out. All around the deck, 5 or 6 transporter beams glowed, and each deposited a dull gray cylinder. The last thing Riker heard was his own warning shout. Grenades! Year 2266, Stardate 1672.1. Briefing room, USS Enterprise holographic simulation. The briefing room was as solemn as a church. Captain James Kirk sat with his shoulders slumped and his hands limp upon the tabletop in front of him. Picard moved around the table to face him. Captain Kirk, are you all right? Kirk didn't look up. No. Transporter accident. I've been split in 2. You look all right. With an annoyed flicker in his dull eyes, Kirk finally glanced at him. You're looking at half a man. I don't understand. What made you this way? Rather than respond directly, Kirk tapped the controls of a desktop panel. Captain's log, Stardate 1672.1. Specimen gathering mission on planet Alpha 177. Unknown to any of us during this time,
A duplicate of me, some strange alter ego, had been created by the transporter malfunction. The duplicate isn't really a duplicate as such. He's half of me, half of my personality. We only discovered the accident when Scott beamed a local animal on board, and a few moments later the transporter activated itself and a second animal beamed aboard. Except it wasn't a duplicate, it was an opposite. Shortly thereafter, Yeoman Rand and geological technician Fisher were assaulted, apparently by me. Crewmen report that my counterpart is temperamental but clever. Apparently I have a dark twin aboard. We think his base instincts are in control. He's loose on my ship, and he knows the ship as well as I do. Even worse, I seem to be losing the will to fight him. Kirk paused. After a moment, he simply clicked the mechanism off. I've got men trapped on the surface below. The temperature's dropping. We can't use the transporter until we find out how to make it stop splitting anyone who uses it. Can't you use a shuttlecraft to bring those men up? The ionosphere's crystallized. Can't get through. You could blast your way through with phasers. And risk atmospheric shock waves on my men? Mr. Spock strode in, clearly grim with the day's events. Are you all right, Captain? Check on the men, Spock. Never mind me. Spock moved to the end of the table to a computer terminal and punched the comm. Mr. Sulu, report your status.
Sulu here. All hands accounted for. The thermoheaters you beamed down won't operate. The blankets were shredded by the transporter process.
The comm interrupted this litany of failure.
Mr. Spock, transporter technician Wilson found injured near the captain's cabin. Says the imposter called him by name, took his hand phaser.
Acknowledged. Continue the search. Spock drew his brows together. Apparently this double, however different in temperament, has your knowledge of the ship, its crew, its devices. This being the case, perhaps we can outguess him by determining his next move. Knowing how the ship is laid out, where would you go to evade a mass search? The lower levels. The engineering deck. I'll get hand phasers for us. I'll meet you in the main section in 10 minutes with the search team. No team, Spock. Just you and me. No arguments. Emotion crackled just below the blanketing surface of Spock's features. At last he nodded, then turned and left the briefing room. Picard moved to the place where Spock had been and watched James Kirk. He had lost a piece of himself, a critical piece, the piece that made him want to command. Had Picard lost that too? Had he lost more than a ship, a piece of himself? Picard spoke to Kirk. Strange. We always imagined that if we could take away all the aggression and base needs, the dark gut reactions of human beings, we would have a superior man. You don't look very superior right now, Captain Kirk. I don't feel superior. Besides, benevolence is easy. Just make everyone an android with the brute programmed out. Would you put your android in charge of the ship on a long-term basis? A startling instant, until Picard remembered that the computer had his record and logs, just as it had James Kirk's. Picard shook his head. Data? No, not yet. He has the intelligence, but he doesn't have the instinct. Picard peered at Kirk critically. You're weakened now, yet the decisions are still yours to make. You can't make them. You shouldn't have been part of the away team, your landing party. No, I had to go. I have an unwritten contract with my crew. When I say go out there and probably die, it's a lot more powerful if I add, I'll go with you. We agree on that. The captain goes in front of the army, not behind it. Could that be why you disliked the Admiralty? You didn't want to stop going in front? Yes. It's that part of us that makes us say, no more. The line must be drawn here. Kirk ran his hand along the grain of the imitation wood. The ship? If you ask a designer, it's just a mass of metal and circuits, a gathering of electrons.
But ask someone who sails her. She's much more. She's the physical manifestation of our ideals. The ship is our home, our commonality. It's our meeting place. She's our island of survival. Now Picard suddenly felt the bubbling of his own sentiments. When I lost the Stargazer, the loss almost crushed me. That was my first command. I was one of the youngest captains ever to command a Starfleet vessel. It hurt so much that I changed the way I thought about ships. I convinced myself that only the people mattered. Then the Enterprise D was wrecked. Now that I've actually lost her, it's different. I didn't remember to care about the ship until it was too late. I forgot that the ship is important. That's how it is. The ship is your reason to stick together. She defends you time after time, and you defend her. You keep each other alive until the last possible moment. We're not the captains of ships. We're the captains of ideals. Picard watched the young Kirk, and both hurt and rejoiced with him. Suddenly, Picard acted almost on impulse. Computer, I want to speak to the other Kirk. Instantly, the scene blurred and changed to the lower decks, main engineering. Picard stood in a shadow and watched for a moment. Had the holoprogram made a mistake? Was he alone here? A scrape behind him answered the question, and he spun around. A pair of eyes like an angry cat's, an angry tiger's. Picard flinched at the power of those eyes and the phaser in the young captain's grip. This was the untempered critical mass core of James Kirk. Eyes aflame, all the dash and spirit, the mettle and grit that history remembered. Pure gale force Kirk. I'm the captain. That other one's telling lies. He's not the captain, I am. I'm stronger, I'm more decisive. I take what I want. If you're stronger, what are you going to do about those men on the planet's surface? They knew the risks. Suddenly Kirk ducked sideways and moved out. He's coming. Picard lagged back and watched. The mild James Kirk, the worried one, slowly moved through the main deck area with a phaser, probably set to stun. The other Kirk, the animal one, had his phaser set on full power. He fully intended to kill if he fired it. Would he fire it? How much intellect was left in him? Did he understand that two halves of a person could not survive apart? The two had seen each other now. At first, the animal Kirk had been stalking the mild Kirk, but now something changed. The animal began backing away. The mild Kirk came forward. You can't hurt me. You can't kill me. Don't you understand? You need me. I need you. The animal raised his phaser. His eyes tightened in pure rage. I don't need you. The phaser wavered. He still didn't fire. A flash of blue behind him. Spock! The Vulcan grasped the side of the animal's neck and pinched the nerves. When Spock let go, the feverish, vicious form of the negative captain dropped to the deck. Picard spoke. Computer, let me see the resolution of this. Everything blurred, and Picard was standing in the transporter room of the first Enterprise. Between Kirk and Spock, sagging and dazed, was the terrorized other twin, weak now and clinging to Kirk. Something had made him afraid, and he felt his fear full throttle. Picard addressed Spock. Have you fixed the transporter? Yes. We used bypasses to tie directly into the impulse engines and get the transporter working. The mild Kirk added. But it might kill me. We tried it on the duplicated creature from the planet. It put him back together, but he died. Spock thinks it was blind terror that killed him. He thinks I can overcome that with intellect. Spock took the sagging twin's arm and urged the other Kirk to move toward the transporter platform. There was something different now in the mild Kirk's face. Resolution. He was determined to see this through. The savage Kirk had faltered. This one hadn't. Spock stepped off the platform. Both Kirks dematerialized. The transporter room fell quiet. Then one light came on near Spock's left hand. He instantly enabled the transporter process. Captain James Kirk materialized and stood upon the platform, alone. Kirk drew a tight breath and stepped down from the transporter.
Get those men up here, fast.
Picard stepped to Kirk's side.
Congratulations. I'm glad it's over for you. Over? I still have to live with that part of me, knowing what I'm like without him. He took away everything that made me strong, everything that made me protect myself, my ship, my principles.
Picard nodded.
Your intellectual half came to understand the value of the brute, but the brute never learned the same.
Kirk watched the transporter platform as 3 of his crumpled, half-frozen landing party materialized. Then he turned to Picard.
That's what intellect does. It makes the future wider than just today. Captain Kirk, I owe you an apology. I was laboring under a legend. I never saw you as having doubts to overcome. What kind of man doesn't? I don't know. But suddenly I feel rather better about myself, too. That rule about captains being too important to go on away missions, yes, that's it. We who make the decisions want to share the risks. Until today, I never really knew why. Captain Kirk, thank you most sincerely. May I shake your hand? I never did that, and I believe I should.
Kirk's hand was warm, his handshake tight and confident. A good grip, and the feeling sustained Picard in his new decisions.
Captain Picard, how's this door open? Captain Reynolds, one moment, I'm coming. Computer, end program, door open.
Captain Reynolds entered and stood with Picard on the empty holodeck grid.
We're entering Cardassian jurisdiction. How do you want to handle this? I was intending to go in and negotiate. That's all over. I don't feel like negotiating anymore. Head straight for Cardassia Prime and give your men the sidearms I provided.
Gul Madred, Cardassia's most famous interrogator, cautiously remained seated behind his desk. To stand would be to give something away. Mustn't have that. Before him, Jean-Luc Picard strolled slowly into the large expanse of the interrogation room. As Picard approached the other side of the desk, Madred finally spoke.
I suppose it's an occupational hazard of mine that one of you would eventually come back for revenge.
I'm not here for revenge, Madred. There are several Starfleet and Federation spacefarers missing in or near Cardassian space, and we know you have some of them held hostage as you held me. You have them, and I want them back.
Picard, what makes today different from yesterday?
The difference, Madred, is the Klingons. They've set their sights on Cardassia for war. If the Klingons attack Cardassia, you're going to need the Federation at your side. At the very least, you'll need our neutrality.
Madred pressed his palms to the glossy desktop. He was interested in what Picard was saying and in why. They had spent many hours together. Madred had plumbed for Picard's inner weakness and found a most uncomplex man with a great deal of grudgeful determination. Picard had not broken down. Of course, Madred hadn't had a chance to finish before the game was raided. Picard went on.
Remember what you said to me. Enemies deserve their fate. You said your daughter, Jill Aura, had been raised with that. Oh yes, even through the haze, I remember your daughter. I was rather dismayed that you let her into the torture room, let her see me lying there on your floor, almost destroyed by your subcutaneous instrument. Exhausted and wrecked at your order, at your whim. You excused yourself by telling me that Jill Aura understood that Cardassia had enemies, and enemies deserved what they got. Now she would be, what, about 13 or 14 by our reckoning.
And as she grows older, she'll distill the ugly truth that her father freely executed torment when no crime had been committed.
Are you looking for my repentance, Captain?
Not at all. If the Cardassian ruling council expects Federation help to fend off aggression by the Klingons, and you had better, then now is the time to make a strong gesture of good faith, or you'll have not only Klingons, but also Starfleet at your throat.
I understand you, Picard. I would be lying to shrug and say that Cardassia is not interested in the support of the Federation against the Klingons. Perhaps we can avoid a grim scene, Jean-Luc. Perhaps I'm ready to deal. Perhaps you can tell me, if I had possession of these missing people, what if I appease you with a few of them?
I will not be appeased, Madred. You hardened me during those days of torture. I started out on this mission to negotiate with you for the release of our nationals, but by the time I got here, I was all done negotiating. Negotiation implies that each side has a choice, but you're not going to get one.
Picard strode to the door. His confidence suddenly annoyed Madred. The Cardassian knew there was a show going on, and the curtain was about to rise. The whole process rather fascinated.
Jill Aura!
Madred's young daughter came into the room, flanked by a massive Klingon. Jill Aura's gray face had gone clay white with determination. Madred saw in his daughter's eyes the full measure of knowledge about what her father did and the complete contempt in which she held him. For the first time, Madred began to realize he may have finally pushed someone too far. Picard spoke as if reading Madred's thoughts.
You couldn't break me. You have no idea of my limits, but I know yours. Jill Aura is your breaking point, Madred.
Oh, now you've given yourself away. This is a masterful bluff, but still a bluff. Jean-Luc Picard, I know you. You will not torture a child.
I won't have to.
Captain, you'll have to show me what you mean.
Picard turned to the Klingon.
Show him.
The Klingon reached into a small utility bag and took out a gleaming metal device with a glowing red panel. Picard took the device and held it up. The panel was counting down from 100. 99, 98, 97.
This is a Kluth device. Klingon warriors use it as a test of bravery. When the countdown reaches 0, it sends a wave of neural disruption through a 50-foot radius. It is a most unpleasant way to die. Only I can stop the countdown before detonation, and that I will not do unless you reveal the location of the captured Federation citizens, and the others as well.
And you've brought my daughter to your little party because...
Because your own death would mean too little to you as long as Jill Aura lived to continue your line. Her life is something you care about. Your weakness.
Madred shot a reassuring look at his daughter.
Do not fear, Jill Aura. This noble Starfleet officer would never kill an innocent child, even to save dozens of other innocent lives. That is how humans are weak.
Jill Aura stared coolly at her father.
Father, I am here of my own free will because of what you have done. If you will not release your prisoners and stop your butchery, I do not wish to be your daughter any longer. There is only one way I can escape that shame.
Picard, what have you done to her?
I have done nothing. What she says is true. She is here at her own request.
The device in Picard's hands read 55, with the numbers falling faster now. Madred couldn't tell. He had to think, but there was no time. Would Picard let his daughter die a horrible death? Madred had spent his life figuring the odds, but in his time, at his leisure. Picard indeed had found the crack in his armor.
All right, Picard. I'll tell you where your people are. The galaxy is full of people. I can always get more.
He fed a set of coordinates to the Klingon's tricorder. After a moment, the Klingon grunted.
Verified. The ship reports multiple human life signs at that location.
Picard nodded formally.
Thank you, Gul Madred. As for your acquiring more people, we'll see about that. The device in his hand read 10, 9, 8, 7. Picard, stop that damn thing. You have what you want. Picard smiled. The device moved from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. Madred threw himself between his daughter and Picard to shield her with his body. Jill Aura stepped back, and Madred found himself on his knees in front of Picard. Nothing happened. The counter on the device reset to 100 and began its countdown once again. Madred tried to smile. So, you didn't have the courage for it after all. The courage to die, the courage to kill. You're wrong, Madred. Neither killing nor dying takes courage. You thought you were teaching me pain and fear, but instead you taught me that it is living that takes courage. Finding a way to go on despite pain and loss, as I'm sure you will discover after this little setback. Now, I have business to attend to. Captain Atherton, Captain Fernando, and their crews. Madred got to his feet and offered a congratulatory nod. This way, Captain Picard. Riker heard somebody groan in the dark, the smell of lubricant. New ship. The groaning came again, his own. Riker's head throbbed. He heard a voice. Wake up, Will. It was Captain Bateson. Captain, where are we? They stuck us in an ASRV, you, me, and Scotty in this life pod. Riker's eyes focused on the unconscious form of Mr. Scott lying against the other bulkhead of the very small life pod. Bateson pulled Riker into a sitting position. Kozara separated the crews and put all my men from the Bozeman on his ship and set it adrift. He intends to use the Enterprise to attack Cardassian holdings. Where's everybody else? Locked somewhere below or in other pods. Riker shook his head as if to clear his thoughts. How do you know all this if you were unconscious too? I guess Kozara gave me a stimulant to wake me. He wanted the pleasure of telling me face to face what he's planning. Stumbling to his feet, Riker braced himself against the wall. His body pulsed with aches left over from the stun grenade. Even before reaching the hatch control panel, he could see through the dimness that the panel was shattered. Bateson explained. They took a disruptor to it. Guess they're not planning to visit us anytime soon. We have to notify Starfleet somehow. Tell them the ship's been taken and that Kozara intends to attack Cardassian holdings. Maybe they can notify Captain Picard. He's in Cardassian space. How do you know that? Admiral Farrow assured me when he gave me command of the ship that Captain Picard had his own concerns. He was going on a mission to Cardassia Prime on behalf of Federation nationals being held there. Begging your pardon, sir, but why would Admiral Farrow inform you of Captain Picard's mission? Well, for one thing, it's not a classified mission. For another, I was reluctant to take command unless Captain Picard had other choices. A groan heaved across the deck, and Engineer Scott rolled over. Riker knelt at his side. Wake up, Scotty. We need you. Oh, stun grenades. I hate those done. I thought they were illegal. The senior engineer glanced around and fought for focus. Where the devil are we? ASRV. The hatch controls are blown. Well, let's get out. Mr. Scott, they blew the hatch control panel. Scott pressed past Riker, completely ignoring the hatch controls. Near the lockers where the fold-out seats were stored was a small door. The sign on it read, Autonomous Survival and Recovery Vehicle, Extravehicular Garments. Scott tapped in a code, and beside him an environmental locker popped open. He pulled out a survival suit and instantly shuffled for the breastplate gas exchange and humidity thermal controls. He did something to the panel which Riker couldn't see in the dimness, then turned back to the hatch, slammed the breastplate up against the airlock hatch, punched the controls again. The airlock rolled open. Riker shook his head as he and Bateson followed Scott out into the dim corridor. How'd you do that? Oh, Mr. Riker.
You'd have to take my course in alternative signals at the Academy. New term starts in September. Scotty, you're a miracle worker. No, lad. I'm an engineer.
Then you can tell us, is there a way to communicate with Starfleet?
Sure. If Kozara and his playmates haven't figured out the auxiliary broadcast cutoff, I can send a limited coded subspace message from one of the Jeffries tubes. There's one right around the bend.
Within seconds, Riker was helping Scott climb into the tube's maw. Riker glanced over his shoulder at Bateson. Sir, I suggest we run a guerrilla operation from down here. Make the ship unworkable for them. Capture or isolate as many of Kozara's crew as possible.
Whatever battens your hatch, Mr. Riker.
Captain, what's wrong?
What's wrong? I blew it. Permission to gloat, Mr. Riker. Will you just get it over with? I can see the galaxy as a more complicated place than when I was a real captain. At least rub it in a little so I don't feel so pathetic.
Sir, you had a one-dimensional distrust of Klingons because that's what you needed to survive in your time. And there weren't many older Klingons fighting. Since then, they've learned the value of their older warriors' experience. Cultures change, Captain.
Still, Kozara wouldn't have taken the ship if I'd withdrawn when you recommended it.
Sir, he wouldn't have taken this ship either way without a saboteur on board. Riker held out a hand of truce to Bateson. Captain, I know about ships of the line from this era. You know about Klingons, not as a culture, but as enemies. If I'm going to coordinate a counteroffensive from below decks, what do you know about Klingons that you think I should know?
I'm sure you know they're basically fearless. They never hesitate when there's an opening, never back down, never think twice.
And one thing I've always counted on is that Klingons tend to get angry and stay angry. I've always thought that humans have an advantage because after a point our adrenaline level's out and we tend to calm down and start being sneaky. Good. I think we can use that. What else?
Well, their system tends to put a whole lot of people on the front lines who all have the same talents and the same weaknesses as each other. You got 10 Klingons, you got 10 Klingons. But you got 10 humans. You got 10 really different ways of doing almost anything. That's why the Klingons were never able to beat the Federation. We've got them all figured out, and they can't make sense of us. At least that's the way it was 90 years ago.
Riker started to feel as if they really did have some advantages. We'll have to take the ship back, or at least make it unusable to Kozara. To do it, we need to use Kozara against himself. And I know how.
How?
By having a sense of humor. I like that. A sense of humor can be a formidable weapon against somebody who doesn't have one. Scotty started backing down the tube. While he made a final adjustment of some mysterious kind, he said,
"Aye, we can use that to reduce their numbers. I've got a hell of a sense of humor."
Riker helped Scott down from the tube. Did you get the message sent, Mr. Scott?
Aye, I did. Low power's the best I could do. It'll take a while, maybe 4 hours to reach Starbase.
Riker turned to face Bateson. Permission to begin assault on the hijackers.
All right, Will. You're in charge of the covert assault team. Gentlemen, let's start thinking dirty tricks, but with one condition, Commander. I don't want to kill any of them.
Riker openly gawked. Sir, Kozara's planning to fly into Cardassian space and unleash quantum torpedoes on millions of innocent people. Pardon me, sir, but it's no time for a message between Robin Hood and the sheriff. It's exactly the time. Non-lethal assault will leave them baffled about the Federation's intents. We've got to keep the Empire confused about us. You recall that Kozara wouldn't say he destroyed the Nora Nichols. I think he disabled them and left them adrift somewhere. Kozara wouldn't want the Empire saddled with the slaughter of a whole ship and crew if things go sour. Until I'm sure he's killed our men, I don't want to kill his. Well, that does make some sense. Let's hope it keeps making sense. Because if they did kill the crew of the Nora Nichols, then the war's already started. Let's get going. The pounding feet of booted Klingons set the whole corridor shuddering. But Will Riker was shuddering well enough on his own as he ran along the curved corridor, just keeping enough of the curve between him and the 6 Klingons chasing him. Captain Bateson waved to Riker from inside a doorway. Bateson disappeared inside the darkened room, and Riker plunged in after him and instantly flattened himself up against the wall. An instant later, 6 Klingons came piling into the room, stinking of sweat and panting with blood hunger. Riker slipped back out the door behind them, and Bateson was immediately after. Then Riker slammed his hand into the door control panel. "Hurry, Scotty. Turn on the program." Down the corridor, about 10 feet, Scott worked at another panel. "Computer on. Holodeck 2. Run holoprogram 1-1 continuous presentation."
Shut it down. Program off. Program off. Look for the door.
Riker and Bateson joined a beaming Mr. Scott down the hall. "What did you do to them, Mr. Scott?"
I sent them to my great-uncle's poultry farm. Lots of feathers and birdie guano to slip around on. Round, 45,000 chickens, give or take the odd Christmas goose. And for every one they kill, the computer makes 2 more.
Riker threw his head back and laughed.
6 Klingons and 45,000 chickens?
Scott brushed his hands together triumphantly.
And they'll never find the door.
The Cardassian warship came in for a landing in what looked to Picard like the bombed-out part of a Federation colony. It was, he knew, a Madred village, a penal camp where the Federation captives were forced to fight for their lives against Cardassian attackers. In this way, Cardassians learned how Starfleet personnel and Federation nationals reacted in battle. If the prisoners fought well and won, they were given subsistence rations and allowed to live to fight another day. If they refused to fight or fought badly, they were of no further use to the Cardassians. Within the Madred village, the Federation captives huddled in their makeshift bunkers, watching the warship settle onto the cracked and pocked pavement. Lieutenant Steve McClellan, now the leader of the beleaguered captives, stared at the vessel. What a massive and ugly thing it was. Its hull of flinty scales, its windowless body, its hungry weapons arrays. A ramp dropped down. Foggy light from inside the craft obscured the humanoid forms that appeared at the top of the ramp. 1, 2, 3, 4 figures. And one was human. McClellan knew he had to take the chance. Ignoring the pleas of the others to stay down, he stood and walked toward the 3 Cardassians and the human. He was sweating through what was left of his uniform, and shivering. 2 Cardassians stopped when they saw him, guards both armed. A shiver ran up McClellan's spine as he anticipated the shock of an energy bolt from those weapons. Then the 3rd Cardassian hung back, and the human came forward. He was wearing plain black clothing, no uniform or insignia of any kind. "Lieutenant, I'm Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Starfleet. Are you in command? Where is Captain Fernando?"
Affirmative, sir. Lieutenant Stephen McClellan, sir. I regret to report that all our senior officers, including Captain Fernando, are dead.
McClellan, I'm sorry. Tentative after so many months, the captives came forward, the lights from the Cardassian ship revealing the clothing that hung on their thinned bodies. Picard raised his voice now so all who were beginning to cluster around would hear. "You'll all be going home." Then Picard turned toward the nearest Cardassian, the only one not carrying a weapon. "Come here, Madred." Steve McClellan flinched. Was this a trick? The creature who had dominated their lives since capture came forward. Steve remembered his face from hours upon hours of torture. Fear crackled from man to man. Madred faced forward, looked out at the gaggle of castaways.
My apologies. I have stolen your lives. They will now be given back. The other installations will be purged also.
Then Madred turned to Picard.
All right, Captain. You've proven to me that you are no longer merely a benign tumor. You are a barracuda. You have what you wanted. Now I want my daughter.
That's up to her, Madred.
We had a bargain. I want her back. Bring her here.
Oh, she's coming. Picard to Half Moon. Captain Reynolds, commence beam down. A human woman, a Klingon, and a young Cardassian female materialized. Madred was clearly relieved.
Gielora, how are you, my child?
Father, I wish to explain. I am the one who contacted the Federation and told them about your prisoners. I told them you were holding Federation nationals and Klingons and Romulans, Orions, Deltans, Lansai, and at least one Andorian. And I told them where to find you.
Why would you do this, daughter?
You lied to me. You said that the enemies of Cardassia deserved their fates, and you were their fate. You said we must be vigilant against all who are not Cardassian. Then I found out you were also capturing and torturing Cardassians. You even have Cardassian Madred villages. How could you do that? Using your own people as experiments.
My own child. You are a traitor.
I am a Cardassian, and I'm more loyal than you are. Cardassia has to have a future, and your kind of brutality will be bad for us in the long run.
How can you do this to your father? I love you.
And I love you, but I want to sleep at night. Picard stepped forward just as his comm unit interrupted.
Sir, this is Captain Reynolds. We've been sent an emergency communique from Starbase 12. Sir, the Enterprise has been hijacked. It's warped into Cardassian space not too far from here, and it's cutting up signal outposts on its way to Cardassia Prime.
Who in God's name hijacked it?
A Klingon called Kozara.
What about the Cardassians?
Their defense fleets massed on the Dominion and Klingon defense perimeters. All but 2 fighter transports. Starbase wants to know if you have a suggestion for heading off the Enterprise.
Picard turned to face McClellan and the other Starfleet personnel. I had been hoping to take you home for a well-earned rest, but as you've heard, the new Enterprise E has been commandeered. The Klingon commander is threatening to unleash the power of the Federation's new flagship on the innocent civilians of Cardassia Prime and its surrounding settlements. As the senior Starfleet officer in the sector, I'm taking charge of the situation. Mr. McClellan, I intend to appropriate 2 more Cardassian ships of the class you see behind me. I'm conferring upon you a field promotion to the rank of Lieutenant Commander. You'll take charge of 1 ship. You, Lieutenant Atherton of the satellite tender Tuscany, I believe, you'll take charge of the other ship. We also have with us the MFPS Half Moon, upon which we've mounted a swiveling dorsal turret phaser cannon in anticipation of close-quarter battle. I shall command the fleet. We may be liberating you, only to have you killed in the line of duty. The ships of the line called Enterprise have for generations been the forward symbol of Federation integrity in the galaxy. Now that is at stake. I'm offering you the opportunity to finally fight for something beyond yourselves, and to show the Cardassians what the Federation is really all about. There was a moment's silence. Then McClellan let out a whoop and threw both hands into the air. Instantly, a bigger cheer erupted from all the former captives, a soul-raising shout of participation and hope. Picard reached for McClellan's hand. Lieutenant, I'm proud of you. Starfleet is proud of all of you. The entire Federation owes all of you its pride and gratitude. Everyone, follow me on board. Our mission, stop the Enterprise. Galen felt invigorated, serving next to Kozara, seeing Zayden mystified by the technology of this great sweeping vessel they'd stolen. He was especially invigorated by the contents of his report to Kozara.
We have destroyed 16 outposts, primarily automated signaling centers. Few casualties. The Cardassian subspace communications crackle with terror at our presence. They know we will soon come to Cardassia Prime, and they have no fleet in this sector to stop a ship like this. Good, Galen. We will strike at the heart of Cardassia Prime and erase their government seat. Carry on.
As he returned to his post, Galen looked again at the bridge of the Enterprise E. So much power, and the interior, like artwork, like brushstrokes, like the Klingon sky before a storm. But there was also trouble on this ship. They had now lost contact with 38 members of their crew below decks. Malfunctions, perhaps, or mistakes. But Galen did not believe that, nor did Kozara. There was part of a Starfleet crew trapped below, and if some of the Starfleeters had broken free and debilitated the Klingons below, then time was against Kozara's plan. A Klingon reported from the helm.
Cardassian Prime in 53 minutes, Commander. Hold course and speed.
The words had barely left Kozara's mouth when Morgan Bateson and Will Riker came charging out of the lift, brandishing hand phasers. Riker took down 2 Klingons in what appeared to be phaser stun.
Hold them back! Galen, hold them!
Both Riker and Bateson dodged the disruptor fire that broke across the bridge. Riker raised his weapon to get in another shot, and was stunned by a hard strike to the side of his head. Suddenly the hand phaser was gone. His arms were shackled. His eyes gradually focused, and he saw Kozara standing over Bateson on the upper deck. 2 Klingons came forward and hoisted Bateson to his feet.
What did you think, Bateson? I would take a ship only to let you steal it back.
Riker called from where he lay.
You may hold the bridge, Kozara, but the rest of the ship is ours.
All I need is the bridge. Our traveling is nearly over. I need no precision to cut apart a planet. This ship's reputation will be like flies upon dung in the street. There will never be another Enterprise when I finish with it.
Kozara's first officer, Galen, came to life from the tactical panel.
Commander, contacts, 4 vessels. 3 bear standard Cardassian configuration, emissions and signals. 4th ship, unfamiliar. Federation emission, possibly armed.
Bateson lashed out.
What is it, Kozara? Because you were embarrassed once, you'll now slaughter millions? There's honor.
Zidon, the son of Kozara, swung his long arm and clipped Bateson hard across the jawline. Bateson's head snapped back, but he stayed on his feet somehow. Bateson wiped his bleeding lip.
Kozara, you let this boy decide the course of your actions. Let's speak across the years to each other. You're involving everyone today. My crew, your crew, the Cardassians, the Federation, your empire. But this isn't about all those other people. It was always about you and me. Do you think I am fool enough to fight you hand to hand when I already hold the advantage? No. I don't want to fight you now. You'd turn me into oatmeal. I'm trying to tell you that you came here and took my ship from me. Kozara, you've already won.
Kozara stared at Bateson, who spread his hands in a gesture of surrender.
Was it over?
Galen called to Kozara from tactical.
Commander, the 4 ships are blocking our way. Warn them back, Galen. I did. The lead ship is hailing us.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard, commanding this defense fleet. We are armed and ready to stop your assault on Cardassia Prime. Starfleet has been notified. Within 1 hour, the starships Hood and Defiant will arrive. Until then, our 4 ships stand between you and the Cardassian home world. If you attack this formation or any Cardassian holdings, I will consider it an act of war against the United Federation of Planets. Think before you take action. Your entire empire will pay for your choice.
Zidon shouted.
Shoot! Kill them! They cannot threaten us. Shoot Picard out of the sky and I will call you father again. If you do this, you will redeem yourself.
Kozara erupted.
Myself? None of this is for myself. Do you still fail to understand? There is more in this galaxy than myself and yourself. You greedy imbecile, stand away from me. Take your feet up from the deck of this fine ship whose halls you do not deserve to walk. I was going to incinerate the Cardassian home world to undo the past for you. Since we embarked together, I have heard nothing but your contempt and complaints, and they begin to gnaw on me. Riker, Bateson, these men have fought their way back to their bridge. they deserve to keep it. Galen, shields down.
Zayden swung around to breathe fire at his father.
You will destroy them all for me. You promised. A fool's promise is not binding, brat. I may be your shame, but you are mine.
Enraged, Zayden whirled around to Morgan Bateson.
I will smash you for what you stole from me.
Kozara moved between them and knocked his son back a pace.
Get away from him, boy. He is too worthy for such as you. Now that I have this ship in my hands, and I look at you, Zayden, I begin to think in another way. Why should my last action as a Klingon commander be on your behalf? Must honor go only from the father to the son? Whatever turns the fates vomited upon me, I never whined like a brat. I never blamed anyone else for my failures. This human is better than I care to admit, better than my son.
Kozara turned away from Zayden and opened the comlink.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard, this is Commander Kozara of the Klingon Advance Assault Squadron. Come and take this ship. I no longer want it.
Mr. Riker, do you have control of the bridge? Bateson turned to Riker.
Tell him the bridge is ours, Mr. Riker. I'd like him to beam over. Captain, we have the bridge. Captain Bateson requests that you beam over immediately.
Around the bridge, Kozara's crewmen stood in surreal satisfaction. Whatever they had come here to do, they didn't want to do it on Zayden's behalf. Odd, they'd been willing to slaughter a planet, a civilization, at Kozara's bidding, and now they just as easily stood down at his whim. With new respect, Riker watched Kozara. There must be something in him for his crew to do this astonishing thing. A moment later, Jean-Luc Picard was materializing on the upper forward deck. Fully armed with a phaser rifle, this was a different Jean-Luc Picard than Riker had ever seen before. His bearing was supremely confident. He directed an order to the cluster of Klingons.
Stand down.
Bateson stepped forward with 2 Klingon disruptors he had collected.
They're stood down, Captain. Of his own choice, Kozara has decided to modify his course of action. He is not our prisoner. His men are not under guard. Very good. Number 1, take tactical and run a diagnostic on the ship's systems. Give me an overview. Captain Bateson, your lip is bleeding. Are you hurt? I'm all right. Sorry to spoil your fun. Yes, I was rather looking forward to it. Where's your crew? Set adrift on Kozara's ship back in the Typhon sector. We'll pick them up. And the others? Mostly they're locked below decks, in the pods and lower levels. We're breaking them out now. But what about your mission, Jean-Luc? On those Cardassian ships out there are the crew of the Durant and the satellite tender Tuscany. At least those who are still alive. Their captains are commanding those ships.
Riker suddenly saw the tactical board light up.
Captain, I'm reading a Klingon warship on approach vector, fighter class.
He waited for orders, but didn't know which captain to look at to get them. Picard tilted his head at Bateson.
Captain Bateson, it's your command.
Bateson waved a hand.
Oh, no, sir. You took the bridge. I was a captive here. You're in command. All right, very well. Would you take tactical, please, Captain Bateson, and check on phaser power? Number 1, please take the helm. Picard to engineering. Mr. Scott, do you read?
Scott here. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. We've got a hostile encounter and we need phaser power.
Working on it, sir.
They could see the Klingon ship on their screen now. A strong warship rigged for battle. Picard gripped the arms of the command chair.
Hail the Klingon ship. This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard, commanding the USS Enterprise. Identify yourselves and stand down immediately.
This is First Officer Gabriel Bush, flying the Imperial warship Klaka Maka Paka Yaka, your mother's a moose or something. Anybody know how to make this lobster tank go out of battle mode?
At the sound of that voice, Bateson grinned.
Gabe, are you all right? I'm wicked good, sir, and so's Wiz and Mike and everybody.
Is that monster ship Kozara's?
Sure is. Sorry to be late. Took us a bit to get her moving again. Listen, we found the crew of the Nora Nichols. They're alive and well, stranded on a planet in Typhon.
Good news, Gabe. But there could be a saboteur on board working for the Klingons. We can't find him here.
We found him already, Morgan. It was John Wolf. Only he's not the real John Wolf. He must have killed the real Wolf and taken his posting just before he transferred on board the Bozeman. Mike Dennis actually found him. When we figured out there'd been sabotage, he remembered that Wolf was the one who told us nothing was wrong just before everything started going wrong. Anyway, under some creative encouragement, he fessed up.
Are you in command, Gabe?
Amazing, isn't it? You know what? Better watch out. I'll be after your job.
Glad to hear it. Stand by. Smiling sentimentally, Bateson turned to Picard. Captain, my crew is standing by for your orders. Picard nodded. Thank you. Actually, Captain Bateson, I'll leave it to you. If you like, you can take command of that ship and pilot it back to Starbase 12. Another trophy for your exhibit, perhaps? Bateson considered the idea for a moment, then looked for a long few seconds oddly at Zayden. I don't really need another trophy. He pushed off the tactical board and went to stand before his old rival, Kozara. I, Captain Morgan Bateson, stand humbled before the Klingon Kozara. I was your dishonor, and you chased me down. When the power to destroy our civilizations was in your hands, you found the strength in yourself to pause and think. You raised yourself above common revenge. You are a true commander. You deserve to be in your ship. Kozara stared blankly, disbelieving what he'd heard. Picard came to Bateson's side. I agree. On the brink of interstellar conflict, we find a way to work together to stop it for the sake of old times. I will forward a record log of this to the Klingon High Council on your behalf, with my personal seal. You are honored among your enemies. Gradually, the Klingon gathered himself and came to attention before the two Starfleet captains. I accept. It wasn't exactly a thank you, but it was as close as a Klingon would get. Picard then gave an order to his first officer. Shipwide sweep transporter beam, Mr. Riker. Klingon physiology. Send these gentlemen back to their vessel. Morgan Bateson and Jean-Luc Picard strode toward the crew lounge aboard the Enterprise, safely back in Starfleet control. Jean-Luc, I hope this isn't inconveniencing you, but the crew insisted on a formal welcome for you as their official commander. Ah, Morgan. I have to confess that the ulterior motive is to give you and your crew a rousing send-off. I guess we've both been cornered. Bateson paused before their proximity triggered the lounge door. Jean-Luc, before we go in, let me say I admire you. You're an excellent synthesis of old and new. I hope you'll take my apology for my contributions to what happened. You were right about the Klingons, Morgan. They were massing to attack. The Cardassians were in their sights, but certainly the Federation wouldn't have been far after. If you hadn't provoked Kozara, their attack would have been better planned, less spontaneous, and probably far more deadly. Picard read the unspoken questions in Bateson's eyes. Morgan, we all have our inner questions. The past few days have helped me put into words many things I never considered about being captain. It's helped me a great deal, especially now. Bateson grinned. Now that you've been made official commander of the Enterprise E, she suits you better than she does me. I want to thank you for sticking up for me with the Admiralty and recommending reassignment. I thought they'd hang me. You're too valuable for that. Command of the Roderick is no desk assignment, Morgan. You'll be the last line of defense for whatever comes.
When Picard and Bateson entered the lounge, they stopped short. From wall to wall, the lounge was lined with Picard's crew and Bateson's. At the appearance of their captains, the happy crowd broke into applause and whistles. Picard and Bateson were pulled off to the buffet table, where Will Riker and Gabe Bush were waiting. Picard looked playfully stern.
Number one, I'll get you for this. Well, you're welcome, sir. We just wanted to make you feel at home.
Bateson grinned at his first officer.
Mr. Bush, how are you?
High and dry, sir. Looking forward to duty on board the Roderick. I think that ship fits us better.
Picard accepted a wine glass of a pleasantly scented burgundy and raised it immediately.
To our ships.
The intermingled crews cheered and raised the toast. When the glasses came down again, Picard addressed them.
I do have a bit of news for Captain Bateson and his crew. In appreciation for all you've done, for your sacrifice and your resilience, Starfleet has accepted Mr. Riker's recommendation that at its launch next week, the USS Roderick will be redesignated the USS Bozeman II.
The crews were stunned silent for a moment, then erupted into a whoop of approval. Picard was happy at this excellent turn of not very pleasant events. Everyone had what he wanted, including the newly assigned master of the 6th Starship Enterprise.